On this blue full moon in Sagittarius episode of Spelling the HEKA-TEA with Marcus and Van,
we of course have witchcraft in the news,
followed by our main topic, reach out and touch faith, pop culture, witchcraft, and making it up as you go along.
Followed by our chilling adventures of Sabrina rewatch.
Then an all new SpellCraft, incorporating contemporary music and the music you like and listen to into your spell work.
And Witchy Media Review 2024's The First Omen.
All this and more on Spelling the HEKA-TEA with Marcus and Van. Join us! Hey witches, blessed blue full moon in Sagittarius, and welcome to an all-new episode of Spelling the HEKA-TEA with Marcus and Van. I am Marcus James, author, activist, witch, and forever and always a very annoyingly defiant homosexual.
And I am Evan. I am a legal assistant, a witch, a fiction editor, and always, always, always a very annoyingly femme and lipstick lesbian.
If you are new here, welcome. We drop episodes every new moon and full moon right here on YouTube. We are kind of like the Today Show, or Good Morning America, but for the craft.
Good morning, Witch America.
Yes. Good morning, Kevin.
Or whatever country that you are watching us in.
Correct. If you are a returning champion, as we like to call you, welcome back to the circle. We thank you so fucking much. Either way, if you love what you see here, you love what we do, and you love hanging out with us, learning with us, shooting the shit with us, and all in all, just kind of being bitchy, then please do not forget to like, comment, subscribe, hype, and share us and this episode. That way you can help us to continue to build this magical, wonderful, fantastically super, baneful, and blessed coven right here in our corner of the circle.
Where, as always, but especially on this special day today, we are two homos and a whole lot of kitsch.
Abso-fucking-lutely, rootin' tooty, fresh and fruity. All right, as you can see, yes, very different.
Yes.
Gone are the Tashin collection of witchcraft, astrology, tarot, alchemy, and mysticism in art, in history that we normally have in our cauldron, of course, to be replaced now with our magical stack of pop culture.
Yes.
And we have, of course, Skeletor, and we have Morticia Adams. We got Ned Flanders in between the both of them, because why not?
That's where he desires to
Make it up as you go along, right?
Exactly.
We, of course, have a Xenomorph pop. We're gonna get into the Xenomorph a little bit in here with the main topic.
Yes.
It's actually very interesting. And then, of course, we have Gabrielle from Xena, Warrior Princess. Along with our usual mugs are not here.
No.
We are being joined by Miss Holly Golightly, having breakfast at Tiffany's.
And the Sanderson sisters.
So join us as we take this journey into a land of witchcraft, magic, and nonsensical and make believe and nonsensical pop culture. Cheers to that.
Cheers.
That is not to say, also to preface, that is not to say that like we're about to like bash like pop culture witchcraft or anything like that. We're not. We're going to be talking about how it's incorporated, different things about it, but also, yes, taking it too far or moving it into a space that it shouldn't be in.
Yeah.
Which we have talked about before.
We have.
It's not like we haven't discussed this topic before. It's actually why we decided to finally do a main topic about it, because we have touched on it before in element of other topics.
Yes.
Like Gnostic Knowledge and Deific Download episode, in which we discussed a little bit about pop culture and the worship of the deification of pop cultural characters.
Yes.
So we're going to be talking a lot more about that, the pros, the cons. What of pop culture do we incorporate into our witchcraft and our worship, and what do we know better to stay away from?
Yes.
All this and more. But first, before we get into any of that, it's time for Witchcraft in the News.
And this time I will be getting us started.
Yes.
So, the YIVO Institute for Jewish Research in Manhattan is opening a new exhibit all about Jewish mysticism and occult practices.
Oh, cool.
It's called Jews Are Magic, and it opens on May 26th.
Jews are magical. Zionists are not.
Ain't that the truth? So this exhibit explores Jewish fascination with mysticism, fortune-telling, amulets, psychics, and other occult practices.
I love that.
I know. I would love to go to this. It sounds so fascinating.
Yeah, I'm already intrigued.
I know. So while the exhibit does reach back to the biblical and Talmudic periods, its main focus is actually on the mid-19th century to the early 20th century.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So in the face of increasing urbanization, oppression in Russia, and the pull of assimilation, Jews in Eastern Europe and New York's Lower East, no less than their non-Jewish neighbors, found solace in the occult.
Nice.
Yeah. So in this time period, when people commonly think that sort of magic is getting left at the wayside and people are becoming more modern, they are just as engaged with unseen realities as they were beforehand, said Samuel Glauber, a specialist on the Jewish occult and advisor to the exhibit. And it wasn't just isolated little pockets of people. Writers, intellectuals, and scientists were equally fascinated by the supernatural. So this exhibit is going to include palm reading manuals, amulets against the evil eye, fortune-telling guides, and advertisements for Jewish psychics drawn from YIVO's archives.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. They promise to help readers and clients find romance, settle lawsuits, cure illnesses, things like that. One display includes Yiddish divination books whose margins still contain penciled calculations from readers trying to tell fortunes.
Oh, that is cool.
Which is really cool. Now, interestingly enough, there is kind of like a balance and duality with it because, at least in theory, Jewish tradition forbids such practices.
Of course.
Yes. The exhibit opens with an admonition in Deuteronomy against consulting with an enchanter or a witch or a charmer or a consulter with familiar spirits.
Yes. Guilty of being all of those.
We went 4 for 4.
Don't due to your Deuteronomies.
So, of course, as we know, folk religion flouted these prohibitions, and many rabbis went along with these practices. Officially, these kinds of materials are at some level considered unacceptable, said Eddie Portnoy. He is the YIVO's senior academic advisor and the director of exhibitions. And he said, a lot of rabbis participate. Yeah. Some of the exhibit's most poignant artifacts are drawn from a cache of roughly 5,000 handwritten petitions, which were sent to Rabbi excuse me for my pronunciation, Eliyahu Guttmacher. He was a 19th century Polish rabbi and mystic. The letters were discovered in an attic in 1932 by YIVO collectors and offer an intimate archive of Jewish anxiety on the edge of modernity. So after he reportedly cured a child believed to be possessed by a demon, because that's always what happens. Always. But after this incident, Jews from across partition Poland began writing to him, seeking help with illness, infertility, poverty, bad luck, all of the things. So the letters kind of blur the line between religion, folk healing, and occult practice. So this sounds very, very interesting. I would love to see it. And if you are in the Manhattan area, this opens May 26th. So this does not sound like something that you would want to miss.
No, and please, if you go, let us know in the comments, DM us, hit us up. We would love to hear what the exhibit was like, pictures, etc., all the shit. Thank you.
Of course.
All right, so little fun news here. Washington State's eerie landscapes take center stage in the new horror film Passenger. So this is filmed across Washington State. It's a new horror film from Paramount Pictures, which transforms the idea of the familiar road trip into a menacing journey.
Ooh.
So this is really interesting. The filmmakers chose, one of the reasons they chose Washington was because of the fact that we have our landscape in the state is so unique.
Yeah.
And that we have all the what is it? All of the what is it? Geographical or not? Well, all of like the weather, the climate patterns, and all different climates.
Yeah.
Excuse me, throughout the U.S. like desert,
it's very
forest, plains, like everything that you kind of like in the rest of the U.S. kind of just one or the other.
Right.
Our state uniquely is divided up into 4s.
Yeah.
And each quadrant has it. So the filmmakers, the dense forests and lonely backgrounds of Washington State may be familiar to locals, but for the cast and crew of the film Passenger, the Pacific Northwest ended up being genuinely unsettling, and not just because of the script. So the film, directed by Andre Overdahl and produced by Walter Hamada, follows a New York couple who abandoned their careers to pursue van life, only to witness a horrific accident on the open road.
Wow.
What begins as a freewheeling adventure quickly turns deadly when a demonic entity begins pursuing them. I saw the trailer. It looks good. It looks good. He stops at nothing until they're dead, said actor Jacob excuse me on pronunciation. Actor Jacob Scipio. Apologies if that's not correct. So it sucks to be them. So production ended up filming all across Washington State, including in the small town of Black Diamond, where filming took place earlier this year. Overdahl said the state's geographic diversity was central to the film's vision. Washington was a gift to this movie because we were really able to portray all of America within a small area. Yeah, so you're like, you want to show them driving across the Southwest, you go to Eastern Washington,
right,
where it's all desert and cacti and sagebrush. You know, you want dense forest, you want Colorado, you want anything that you want. You want the Eastern Seaboard, you come to our Rocky Coast here, like, and then it looks like you're on the East Coast.
Right.
Like, it's very different. You can even here in our neighborhood, we have some neighborhoods where if you wanted to strategically film in a way to pretend it's Savannah or Atlanta back in the fucking 1800s, you can do it. Yeah. You can do it. We have the homes, the architecture. We don't have as much Spanish moss. We have Spanish moss and various moss on our trees. And in some areas, it does get that long. Yeah. In general, it doesn't. Not very often. But that's something you can easily add to our oak trees. Exactly. And instantly, it would look like you're in the deep south. Oh, yeah. Like, so Washington is very unique in that, which I would agree with here. Let's see. So the location offered more than scenic variety. The crew members and cast reported an atmosphere of unease throughout the shoot, with many describing unexplained feelings of being watched while filming on isolated roads at night. One of the crew members noted that production took place near the former hunting grounds of convicted serial killer Gary Ridgway, also known as the Green River Killer. Another said the lead actor, actually, Jacob Scipio, lobbied producers to have a priest bless the production. Wow. Hamada said that the film aims to do for road trips what Jaws did for ocean swimming, making the mundane feel menacing. Rear view cameras, putting on a seatbelt, how to make that as scary as possible. How to ruin basically a road trip for people everywhere is kind of what we drove for, Hamada said. There are a lot of lonely, dark stretches of road. Who knows what's out there? The film's tagline captures the spirit bluntly. People don't take trips. Trips take people. Passenger is rated R and is now in theaters everywhere.
Well, I can't wait to see it.
For sure. And that doesn't surprise me that our state is very, very haunted, and not just by ghosts of dead people. Our state is extremely haunted by very much primal, aggressive earth spirits, nature spirits.
Yeah, that's very true.
Deadly ones. The night will devour you here. The forest will devour you here. The mist will devour you. There are things lurking. So that doesn't surprise me at all that that's what the crew experienced. No. And then on top of that, we breed a lot of serial killers and mass murderers and killers. And
I mean, just like our spirits here in Washington, we also enjoy a good lurk.
It's true. So yeah, lots of tragedy, a lot of darkness, a lot of death, a lot. It's primal out here. Yeah. The magic is primal here. The forests are primal here. The fae folk, the nature spirits here are very primal, very unique to the state. And not just the Pacific Northwest, Eastern, Southern, the Plains, Central Washington. They're all very primal. You don't fuck with them. No, you work with them, but don't ever turn your back on them. No. Don't ever. So, and ironically, where we live now here used to be forested. And when settlers first arrived here, the natives of this area didn't actually come up here. And they warned the settlers against building up where our neighborhood is now because it was inhabited by dark spirits. So, now here we are. Right. So, development happens. Yeah. So anyway, looking forward to that. Passenger. Playing out.
They talked about the dark spirits here, but what they didn't know was it was us.
It was us.
Anyway, let me bring my voice down an octave to talk about something a little more serious.
Okay.
So this one comes out of Malawi.
Okay.
The acting principal secretary in the Department of National Unity, Cecily Kampaji, again, apologies if I am incorrect on the pronunciation, has expressed concern over the recent killings of elderly people in Mazimba district over witchcraft allegations.
Yes.
Kampaji was speaking on Wednesday during an engagement meeting with Mbelwa District Council, community leaders and other stakeholders on finding solutions to recurrent cases of violence associated with alleged witchcraft accusations.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So she condemned the brutal killing of 3 elderly people at the Michelera village in the area of Paramount Chief Mbelwa in the district on April 30th of this year. She assured the nation that the department will roll out various strategies to help curb such incidents. She said, "We are deeply concerned with the killings of elderly people in Mazimba and some parts of the country. These criminal acts threaten peace and unity in communities. As a department, we are committed to implementing various interventions to address this challenge."
Oh, good.
So that's really awesome.
Yeah.
She said, among others, the department will intensify civic education campaigns to address misinformation and disinformation to demystify beliefs surrounding witchcraft, which often lead to violence and discrimination against vulnerable groups. She also said that the government will continue working closely with traditional leaders, security agencies, and civil society organizations to promote lawful conflict resolution and protect human rights. The district commissioner for Mazimba, Emmanuel Bulukutu, commended the department for this initiative, saying that it will help restore peace and confidence in coexistence and peace building amongst people. He noted that the killings have instilled fear amongst the elderly, who are often targeted for unjustified accusations, which we've reported on many times. It's definitely true.
Yes.
He said, "The council, we will continue working with chiefs, law enforcement agencies, and other stakeholders to ensure that people live in peace and respect one another." Group Village Head Smart Mahawi said the lack of civic education continues to fuel myths surrounding witchcraft, urging communities to resolve their suspicions through dialogue and legal means. The meeting followed the killings of Paul Mahobi, 78, Charles Kamanga, 78, and Steinis Shaba, 71, who were accused of practicing witchcraft and were forced to take poison, which led to their deaths.
Right. I think we actually reported on that.
I think we did.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm really
good.
glad that it's being addressed. But again, like as we have said so many times, when it's an occasion when laws and policies are changing because of the amount of witchcraft killings that are happening, it's good that action is being taken, but this is coming after the deaths of so many people accused of witchcraft, by and large, who were not even witches themselves.
Right. Well, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
And again, yay.
Yes.
Just yay. At least something is moving forward.
I'm very glad at least action is being taken.
Yes, exactly. All right, so next, a new book, Voodoo, an African American Religion, by Jeffrey E. Anderson, has been released. So it's a scholarly investigation into the evidence available about what the voodoo of the Mississippi River Valley region looked like in the period from its initial development in the 18th century through the 19th, and then fading from its prominence in the 20th century. So in this book, Anderson examines the history that is, again, documentally available of how this uniquely American version of this diasporic religion came in and was portrayed mostly by hostile, sensationalist white press and folklorists and anthropologists. And he reconstructs a portrait of a tradition that has remained a huge part of the American popular imagination, even as the details of its practice have long left popular consciousness. So in it, he begins by assessing that the name voodoo itself, using the name voodoo, V-O-O-D-O-O, for the project. The names voodoo, V-O-D-U-N, voodoo, V-O-D-U, vodon, V-O-D-O-U-N, Vodo, V-O-D-O-U, and Voodoo, V-O-U-D-O-U, are all brought up as possible candidates, among others, that might escape from some of the stigma associated with the spelling of V-O-O-D-O-O. So he apparently settles on that due to the simple fact of the widespread popularity about the spelling, and the book decides, which I would agree with that, voodoo, V-O-D-O-U, is more about Haitian, is American voodoo's Haitian cousin, which is correct, and generally uses voodoo for V-O-D-U-N for Benin and other West African nations. So then he also breaks down the comparisons between voodoo and hoodoo. And he does note that while today most scholars and practitioners regard voodoo as referring to the religion, mechanics, and theology, and hoodoo as referring to the magical practice alone, kind of like witchcraft and polytheism, or Wicca, or Druidism, whatever. So back in the day, though, which is true, these were actually often used interchangeably.
Yeah, that's true.
And it lacked rigid definition like it does today. So for the book, he does again use the V-O-O-D-O-O popular spelling to discuss religion, and hoodoo, H-O-O-D-O-O, to discuss the magical practice. He does say that this is just primarily just for the ease of talking.
Right.
It's kind of like when you could say, like, you just say, well, you'll say like queer rights or gay rights, and you don't necessarily mean gay rights or whatever. You actually maybe just mean queer rights, or you mean LGBTQ rights. But you don't want to say LGBTQ plus rights. So you just say gay rights movement, the gay rights movement, or the queer rights movement, just to be done with it. So the book goes into five chapters. The first one deals with the people of the Mississippi River Valley region, their culture. Most of his material does deal with New Orleans. He does draw on evidence beyond Louisiana, from Memphis to St. Louis and to St. Joseph, Missouri, which is a town about 30 miles north of Kansas City. So while the primary focus is on enslaved Africans and their descendants, he also discusses how indigenous peoples and white populations, especially in the French and Spanish plantation class, influenced voodoo's development. And he does discuss how the arrival of settlers from the United States and Haiti after 1800 also contributed to American voodoo, V-O-O-D-O-O. The second chapter, which is titled African Spirits in the Mississippi River Valley, is quite interesting. Apparently, he reconstructs a list of deities or the spirits that appear to apparently have been honored historically in the voodoo of that region. He apparently reveals a set of entities that diverge from the Loa of Haitian voodoo, and the term Loa, L-W-A, or Loa, L-O-A, are not documented in historical Mississippi River Valley voodoo.
Oh.
Yeah. So apparently some of these entities are recognizable as the Haitian Loa or West African deities, such as Papa Labat, whom voodoo adherents called upon in ritual to open the door, just like with Legba. So apparently there is a deity called Monsieur Dani, also called Blanc Dani, and he says that the spirit is the Mississippi River Valley reflex of the Fawn and Awe spirit deity Don, known in Haiti as Don Balawedo. Yeah. Anderson apparently also puts forth that a spirit called Grandfather Rattlesnake, tested in practices of voodoo in St. Joseph, Missouri, is also a convict of Don. So what apparently, though, is strange is that Monsieur Danny has a clear linguistic connection to Don, but lacks any serpent imagery, while Grandfather Rattlesnake obviously has the iconography, but doesn't have the name.
Interesting.
So apparently, although he makes a convincing argument that Don Balawedo, Monsieur Danny, and Grandfather Rattlesnake are all ultimately derived from the same entity, there is a lack of direct evidence for some of those connotations.
Okay.
So then there's others who have no obvious relationship to any of the West African or Haitian spirits. There's Samunga, Grand Zombie, Heron, and Mama Yu, who are documented but may or may not reflect other known deities. Conversely, he also points out that there are divinities popular in other branches of the voodoo family tree that did not seem to appear in the Mississippi River Valley, such as Agwe, Azili Fleda, and Vawan Samadi.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
In the third chapter, the voodoos and their work, this chapter apparently looks at how authority was structured within this particular brand of voodoo, and the duties that were required within the voodoo priesthood. So Queen, most famously such as Marie Laveau, is discussed in detail, though primarily it was not exclusively female in leadership. So this chapter also contains an anecdote from a modern pagan reader, King Alexander, who's a practitioner in St. Joseph, Missouri, and is recorded as creating magical amulets known as luck balls. So the source for this is of the folklorist Mary Alicia Owen, to whom we owe most of our information on the voodoo practices of St. Joseph, Missouri. Owen commissioned King Alexander for a luck ball for her colleague and benefactor, who was none other than Charles Godfrey Leland, who a few years later would publish Aradia, or the Gospel of Witches, which of course went on to become one of the most formative texts of the modern pagan movement.
Yeah.
The fourth chapter is working with the spirits. And so this is what is known about the Mississippi Valley voodoo ritual. So unfortunately, there is no direct documentation from any of the practitioners themselves. But apparently what is recorded is often from a sensational or antagonistic perspective. So apparently there's still valuable insight into the initiation practices that were recorded, along with the documentation of the most visible public voodoo ceremony in New Orleans, which is the annual ritual on St. John's Eve.
Yeah.
So the final chapter, chapter 5, is one that's mostly about how it mostly died out in the Mississippi River Valley region by the 1940s, in a decline in which events like the St. John's Eve ceremonies had long stopped occurring. With other arguments, such as Cody Roberts' claim that Mississippi River Valley voodoo had essentially been continued as a New Orleans spiritual church tradition, also examining modern-day New Orleans voodoo practices. He puts forth that all of there are influences from the historical voodoo tradition on the modern practices, that there is a break in continuity. So in modern New Orleans voodoo, apparently in particular, it owns much of its character to Haiti, where many of its most prominent leaders and shit have been initiated. Notably, Anderson doesn't denigrate them. He doesn't denigrate modern voodoo. He portrays it as a sincere and meaningful religious community attempting to reconstruct the historical voodoo with the materials that they have on hand, which, that's sometimes all, as we talked about in the last episode, sometimes that's all you can do. Yeah. So any pagan who practices a reconstructionist path, which, as we do, this section offers much to consider, and I would find very interesting. I actually, just this chapter alone, I might have my interest more than anything. I mean, the whole thing sounds fascinating thus far. Sure. So he ends with a consideration of what voodoo was and how it should be interpreted today. Any serious scholar of Louisiana voodoo, or voodoo, or vodou for that matter, must take into account the divergent understandings of what it is. He goes on to note that there is an urge to interpret voodoo as a liberatory practice, a force for racial equality and empowerment, which is an urge he himself feels, which is understandable. Yeah. But it's more nuanced than that. But this could cloud our ability to reckon honestly with it as a real historical practice in favor of our romanticized desires for what it could have been. He notes that Marie Laveau, the voodoo queen herself, enslaved other black people, and was noted in an obituary to have been a loyal supporter of the Confederacy. This is very true, actually, within her own writings. What little writings of hers do exist, anecdotes, stories of others. So she was very faithful to the South, and she had her own slaves. Some documented voodoo ceremonies apparently were held to bolster the South in the Civil War in order to maintain the relative privilege of free black practitioners, for free people of color. Because you have to remember, and Anne Rice actually writes so beautifully about this in The Feast of All Saints, which was her second novel, which came out in 1978, I believe. And she writes about a group of free people of color in New Orleans. And most famously, the free people of color of New Orleans were the first people to come out with to publish a literary journal in the United States and in the territories, period. Yeah. And it was poetry and investigative, like news reports, things like that, written by granted, they were free people of color, so most of them were mixed with white. That's how you were a free person of color. Right. You had to be mixed with white people. Yes. And you had to be light-skinned enough and shit to pass that, like, there was just, they weren't going to put you to work out in the field. Like, you weren't like the bastard child of the slave owner. Right. You actually had opportunities. Obviously not the same on equal footing with white folk, but you did have opportunities. You were free. You could have business. You could have wealth. Marie Laveau, famously, she was a free person of color. And as a result, you tended to have those who were darker than you be your slaves. And unfortunately, there is a good chance Marie Laveau whipped and beat her own slaves, or had an overseer do it for her, if she didn't hit them and beat them herself. It's just, that just is what it was, unfortunately. And it was, again, the aim of preventing the liberation of enslaved black people in order to maintain that privilege. It's not to discount that voodoo and hoodoo were also frequently used towards the end of, to the ends of freedom and equality. This is also very true. It just that he wants us to remember that it was more complicated, which is very true.
Yeah.
In sum, Anderson writes, voodoo was a religion that is too big to confine to a narrow interpretation, no matter how well-meaning its formulation. In the appendix, Anderson catalogs the known chants, songs, and prayers of Mississippi River Valley voodoo. Much of it is fragmentary, but for the curious, it is a valuable resource. Again, that was Voodoo, an African American Religion by Jeffrey E. Anderson. Available now.
Sounds very fascinating. I'd love to read it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so for my next story, we are hopping across the pond to England.
Okay.
The Magical Emporium in Halesworth has welcomed paranormal researchers and writers Anne Green and John West, who stopped by to discuss their latest projects and hear from the owner, Heather Taylor, about the world of contemporary magic.
Interesting.
Yes. So Anne Green is a chief reporter at Psychic News magazine, and she published a book about Halesworth's haunted history and continues to gather ghost stories from the town and surrounding villages. Mr. West also writes for Psychic News. He works in film and podcast production and is a researcher for the hit paranormal series Uncanny, hosted by Danny Robbins. They met with shop owner Ms. Taylor, who is known as the Witch of Suffolk, to talk about the Emporium and the philosophy behind it. She said, "We are dispelling myths, educating and teaching about folklore and our craft. We encourage people to ask any questions that they might have. We are always happy to talk about what we do, how we use our herbs for uplifting teas and well-being and for magic." They opened just over a year ago. They offer typical witchy shop fare, such as crystals, books, herbs, tarot sets, etc., alongside events such as gong baths, tarot readings, and psychic development sessions, which is cool. Ms. Taylor said that the Emporium is a sanctuary, a warm and welcoming space for all to enjoy and experience, no matter their background, their faith, or their stage in their life's journey. It also served as a venue for the recent Ink Festival, hosting a play called The River Witch. Ms. Taylor said she said having Anne Green and John West here was an absolute pleasure. Anne's book, The Haunted History of Halesworth, is a bestseller in the shop, and people love to know the local history of the paranormal. The Magical Emporium is located at One Marketplace in Halesworth, so if you are in the area, you should definitely check it out and let us know how you found it if you hadn't been there before, and if so, is it one of your favorite places to go?
Yes, please let us know. Thank you. That's awesome. And congratulations on fucking rocking as a foremost shop.
I know,
Suffolk. So,
exactly.
Awesome. All right. Next. So Tanzanian influencer Chief Godlove blasts locals for blaming witchcraft over hardships. So apparently he has sparked a fierce debate by criticizing youth who are blaming witchcraft for their poverty instead of taking accountability. Self-proclaimed billionaire Godlove, apology on the pronunciation of your last name, Godlove Makwabeti, universally known as Chief Godlove, has sparked a fierce debate in the region after fiercely criticizing individuals who are attributing their financial and personal hardships to witches and witchcraft and curses. So apparently speaking to his millions of followers all across East Africa, the 28-year-old content creator said that superstition has become a convenient scapegoat for laziness, poor financial planning, and a lack of personal accountability.
That's true.
In his post, Chief Godlove dismantled the pervasive belief that dark magic is the primary cause of poverty. He said that many young people in Tanzania and the wider East African area spend significant time and resources consulting healers instead of acquiring marketable skills or building businesses. The influencer, whose lavish lifestyle makes headlines, stated that the culture of blaming ancestral curses, jealous neighbors, evil spirits, etc., for their economic issues is very fundamentally a flawed one, which is true. His comments, of course, strike right at the pit of these cultural norms for Tanzania and the rest of the East African region. So he's no stranger to public scrutiny. His brand has been built on displays of his immense wealth, which he flaunts on his vast digital audience. In November of 2025, he made headlines throughout the region during a 2-week stay in Nairobi, Kenya, where he reportedly spent upwards of 10 million Kenyan dollars on luxury accommodations, high-end shopping, and exclusive entertainment. But despite his displays, his messaging often does pivot towards brutal economic realities. So in 2025, he actually drew attention for publicly castigating men who rely on sports betting and gambling to survive, advising women to avoid partners who view betting as a legitimate career path. That's cool.
Yeah.
His critics, however, have argued that his perspective is severely detached from the economic challenges facing the average citizen. Detractors point out that systemic issues such as inflation, taxation, high taxation, and lack of access to capital play a far greater role in poverty than individual mindset alone. So anthropologists and developmental economists, have long been studying the situation of the intersection of belief and economic mobility in sub-Saharan Africa. Professor John, again, apologies on pronunciation, John Adihumbo, who is a socialist based in Nairobi, suggests the influencer is actually touching on a valid point, albeit complex, and it's very much a psychological phenomenon that exists broadly throughout the region, especially amongst young men. So Professor Adihumbo argues that these avenues for advancement are blocked. When these are blocked, individuals will naturally seek an alternative framework to make sense of the reasons that they are experiencing these difficulties. And witchcraft accusations often function as a social leveling mechanism in these highly unequal communities. In 2025, regional police reports documented over 400 cases of violence stemming from witchcraft accusations across East Africa. We reported on many of them. Financial experts as well estimate that millions of shillings are diverted annually from formal savings into the unregulated traditional healing sector. So the youth demographics that are aged 18 to 35 remain the most vulnerable to economic despair and also form the primary audience for both traditional healers and wealth influencers. So Chief Godlove's controversial statements do highlight a pressing need for enhanced financial literacy programs across the region. So the sad thing is this sounds like shit here.
Yeah, exactly.
Gen Z and Gen Alpha, their rebellious thing to do is, you know, be in a traditional marriage and have 5,000 children and get married in the church and fucking seek cleansings and healings, but it's not witchcraft, of course, but then they're always anointing, they're blaming witches for their problem. Oh, I watched The Wolfman, Universal's The Wolfman from fucking 1934 or whatever, or 43, excuse me. And now like a demonic spirit has come. I touched an amethyst while I was out at the store. There was an amethyst on the shelf and I touched it and now demons have come in. Like it's just the same fucking shit, which also goes hand in hand with influence culture, especially cryptocurrency wealth building influencer culture. Gross. So financial planners argue that moving this narrative from supernatural interference to practical wealth management is essential for long-term economic empowerment, obviously. So while the message may have been abrasive, it does align with broader institutional efforts to promote entrepreneurship, savings, and investment amongst the youth in East Africa. The influencer's ability to generate massive online engagement does make him an unconventional, still highly effective voice for economic discourse. So, of course, this debate also underscores the deep cultural tensions between traditional belief systems and the modern capitalist aspirations of a rapidly digitizing Africa. So whether Chief Godlove's tough love approach will yield any tangible shifts amongst younger generations in the behavior obviously remains to be seen.
Well, hopefully it will.
Hopefully.
So next up, hopping back across the pond to the U.S., into Nevada's Clark County Commission meeting, where Aaron Ra, who is an atheist activist best known for his collaborations and associations with the Satanic Temple, opened up the Clark County Commission meeting with an invocation inspired by the 7 tenets or ethical principles of the Satanic Temple. Which we have reported on and told you guys about. We have.
Good tenets to live by, actually.
Yeah, actually very much. And if you are unfamiliar, the tenets are compassion, empathy, justice, autonomy, freedom of speech, scientifically based beliefs, accountability, and wisdom. Which, absolutely. So he said, "Let us never bow our heads or bend the knee in obeisance to any faith from the past that is based on ignorant, bigoted savagery. Let us not look back with reverence to dark times of fearful minds, unenlightened by modern scientific knowledge, but move forward with critical thinking, the only way to determine actual, factual truth. Let us not fear the tree of knowledge would expand our grasp and devour its fruit. Let us make rational decisions rather than imposing outdated authoritarian religious doctrine with varied interpretations, some more vile than others. Hail Satan, the archetype or symbol of the bringer of knowledge, and hail thyself."
Woo woo.
I agree with him.
Yes. Hey, Olsey.
So yeah, I'm sure Christians of the county are all up in arms about it, but
I'm sure.
Don't know much about that as of yet.
I'm sure by next episode we'll be reporting on the reaction.
Exactly.
Where they have now, just like other places, will be like, we are no longer doing the open prayer anymore, or having any prayer anymore, because now we don't want to deal with Satan. Next, it'll be the witches coming.
But that remains to be seen.
Yeah. All right. Lastly, on my end, Democratic House candidate Sarah Trone Garriott's campaign is now on the defensive after a resurfaced video showed her recounting her role in the marriage of a pair of Satanists while serving as a minister in training. This is why we're doing the First Omen, by the way, for Witchy Media, the review, because we haven't reported on any like satanic news in a while. There really just hasn't been really anything interesting. And now we have some again, so it's like, why the fuck not? Excuse to watch some scary Antichrist satanic shit. Ooh. So, Trone Garriott, who was a Lutheran minister running in the Battleground House District of Iowa in November's midterm election, participated in the wedding of a Satanist couple in 2006 while serving as an intern pastor in a West Virginia parish. Apparently, nearly 2 decades later, she delivered remarks for the Des Moines Storyteller Project, where she reflected that the marriage of the two Satanists in the church offered her a spiritual lesson about love. He asked me to pick the scriptures, Trone Garriott said on stage in 2023. She was referring to the senior pastor. Irritated, I flipped through the Bible. Should I pick something with Satan in it to make them feel more at home?
Oh my God.
Oh Lord. Eventually, I just put the bookmark in at 1 Corinthians 13, she continued. If you have ever been to a Christian wedding, you've probably heard this scripture. All they would get from me was a basic Lutheran wedding. When the Apostle Paul wrote these words, he certainly never had in mind a small town in West Virginia, 2 Satanists, and a Lutheran pastor in training, Trone Garriott said. But Paul knew people, and people haven't changed that much over the centuries. It is hard to love one another. We often need to be reminded how. I think this is a love is patient, love is kind, love is up your butthole wine.
Yes.
Yeah. Trone Garriott is vying to unseat Rep. Zach Nunn of Iowa, who is a Republican, and this is for a toss-up congressional seat in the southwestern part of Iowa. Apparently throughout the campaign, she has been criticized for expressing beliefs that Republicans say do not align with the Christian faith that she claims to represent. She's made it clear that the values Iowa families live by every single day are the ones she's running against, Nunn previously told Fox News Digital. At the 2023 love-themed storytelling event, Trone Garriott chose to spotlight her first wedding with the Satanist pair. So she recounted about the couple that they had shown up under the mistaken belief that they had to be married in a church in order to get married, and proceeded to interrogate their Christian beliefs. These people could barely stand us. They didn't believe in or really have any respect for what mattered to us, Trone Garriott said. I've already read this article, and I've already found her so insufferable. But rereading it through, I'm just like, I wouldn't vote. You're not making me want to vote for you. Like, how do you know? Like, okay, let's see. These people could barely stand us. They didn't believe in or really have any respect for what mattered to us. Okay, first and foremost, really quick, sorry, taking a break. How do you know they could barely stand you? Were you proselytizing to them? Were you making them feel unwelcome? They, for whatever, probably because they grow up in small town Iowa, they grew up in probably a very fundamentalist evangelical home.
Right.
And Lutheran home, and literally did believe that in order for them to be able to be married legally and binding, that no matter what, it had to be done in the church.
Right.
Like, they probably didn't know they could just go to a courthouse or their friend could hop on the internet.
Right.
But unfortunately, that's what Christianity and the ignorance of Christianity and other fundamentalist Abrahamic branches of faith do to people. And it's another way of fear-mongering. They were probably told, well, you're going to be Satanist. Oh, well, I hope you you two can't get married. You guys still have to get married in the church. You still have to get married in front of Jesus. You still have to get married in the church to legally get married. So that means you have to do it in front of Jesus. And they probably were like, oh shit, like this sucks. Like, we're Satanists. We don't fucking do that. But they're also probably very ill-informed and ignorant because their Christian faith that they grew up with and that their family grew up with and enforced upon them made them to be. And so they showed up to your church. And what did you proceed to do? What was it? She recounted that the couple had shown up under the mistaken belief they had to be married in a church and proceeded to interrogate their Christian beliefs, proselytizing.
And the line that really gets me was when she's like, they didn't care about what mattered to us.
They didn't believe in or really have any respect for what mattered to us.
Why do they need to? It's in their wedding.
Right.
Right. It's not about you.
No. When I got married to my ex-husband, his best friend's father is a pastor and had to have him officiate, right? I actually made it very clear. Just to tell you, she wasn't there for it because that was one-on-one, but she was there as one of my ladies.
Yes.
And
one of my ladies.
And I made it very clear. I was like, no mention of Jesus. I was like Miranda on Sex and the City when she was being forced to give little Brady a christening.
Yes.
And she was like going through it. She was like, no mention of hell, no mention of Jesus, no mention of God. Like, keep it gender neutral for God. You can say her, him, her, they, them. I prefer just it or them, God. But no. Yeah. Like, I mean, yeah. So, because I was like, I know as someone who has read the Bible more than once, and as someone who didn't grow up in the faith as in it was my faith, but grew up in it being exposed to it by other people in my family and being forced to assimilate to it, and obviously not doing it and pissing them off, then they would just give up and attempt again a year or two later. Always the attempts, but and they never changed. But because of that, I knew that there was plenty in the Bible that could be said without mention of Jesus or God or any of the other shit. Clearly, maybe they asked for that, and you didn't want to give that to them. And that's why they didn't fucking respect your beliefs. Like, the senior pastor went ahead and married them anyway, with Trone Garriott reading the words, "Love is patient, love is kind," over them. Though Trone Garriott, fucking name, I'm sorry, but Christ. I'm sorry, no disrespect, but is that really your name? That's your name? Am I saying it wrong? Is it Trony? That's worse. That's worse. I'm so sorry if it's Trony. Like, God. Come on, Trony, let's go. Though Trone Garriott expressed, it just doesn't even sound real. It sounds like, like a computer server. Buy the new Trone Garriott from Intel, the Intel Trone Garriott. Right?
Do you use Linux or Trone Garriott?
Right. Though Trone Garriott expressed initial concern about the wedding, by the end of the ceremony, she spoke tenderly about the man with a pentagram tattooed on his face. That's right. Yeah, a pentagram tattooed on his face. Oh, I know. I have tattoos. Okay. Was he getting teary? Trone Garriott asked during her remarks. They had a lot of baggage between the two of them, but there was no denying how they were looking at each other. Who the fuck says this?
I know.
Like, what? You're the Democratic candidate? Like, I would not, no, you sound like a Republican. Like, what the fuck? Like, it just so, who says, if I were this couple, I'd be like, really, bitch? Really?
Right.
Really? We had a lot of baggage. You force us, when you get married, even if it's just for one meeting before you get married, you are forced to sit there and talk about shit with these people and talk about any disagreements or issues or things with you, which all couples have. And from there, they make the determination that despite either, I think you guys need more counseling, or, okay, yeah, you guys seem like, yes, they're shit, but you guys are sound, any couple, and go ahead. Which is clearly the decision that was made. And what is it? The senior pastor went ahead and married them anyway. As if they doubted it, but they're like, well, just do it.
Right.
I don't think the senior pastor would have done that.
Exactly.
Oh my God. At no point in her speech did Trone suggest that she or the pastor had asked the couple to reject Satanism. So what happened to that couple? I have no idea. We never saw them again. So as for comment, a spokesperson for Trone Garriott's campaign, Trone Garriott's campaign told Fox News Digital, as a minister in training, Sarah followed the direction of her supervising pastor and had no control over who walked through the church's doors. It was her job to minister to everyone, including people she does not share beliefs with. What the fuck? Like so many Iowa Christians, Sarah's faith calls her to love thy neighbor, and she follows Jesus' example of embodying his grace for everyone.
Does she though?
The spokesperson added. A source familiar with the campaign disputed that Trome-Garriott helped marry the Satanist couple because she was not ordained until 2008. But Trome-Garriott's own words and actions during the ceremony appeared to acknowledge her active role in the wedding. This was going to be my first wedding, Trome-Garriott reflected in her remarks. Oh my god, her face. The resurfaced video comes as her beliefs have been heavily scrutinized in the contest for the swing seat. In a 2023 speech, she expressed discomfort with public displays of Christianity, okay, good, and defended seeking out non-Christian prayers at the State House as a member of the State Senate. That's awesome. Trome-Garriott wrote an op-ed in 2015 calling out Christian lawmakers who protested a Wiccan-led prayer, arguing Jesus engaged with pagans. The National Republican Congressional Committee, House Republicans' campaign arm, sharply criticized her past in a statement to Fox News Digital. Her record shows a clear pattern of rhetoric and decisions that contradict her own faith, raising serious questions about her judgment and values. And RCC spokeswoman Emily Tuttle said, "He's willing to blur those lines. Iowans can't trust her to stand up for them." The Trome-Garriott campaign fired back in a statement to Fox News Digital. "These attacks on Sarah's faith are factually inaccurate, and it's disgusting that Zach Nunn and his allies are pushing lies about Sarah when she spent her life ministering the word of God as a Lutheran minister, hospital chaplain, and parish pastor." They're both is all insufferable. Like, I am sorry, but this is not initiating me to you.
No.
This is not getting me to feel any sense of, oh, granted, I'm not in Iowa, so who the fuck gives a trolley fuck?
Right.
But if I were in Iowa, as a witch, as a polytheist, as a bitch, I would not vote for you.
No.
Like, the way you are talking about this couple and their wedding, it was like the most atrocious thing for your soul. Why? Because you are trying now that you are trying to get the seat. You are soft walking back your earlier statements. Mm-hmm. Because now you're trying to appeal to these people.
Right.
So now you're trying to present yourself as traditional and hardcore Christian as they are, but with liberal, progressive, loving, love thy neighbor values. Mm. But in doing so, you are belittling this couple and framing them as if they were combative with you and your senior pastor, which I highly doubt is the situation. I am sure Trone or Trony, Crony, Halloweeny, whatever your fucking name is, that you were proselytizing to them. It was your own words. Right. Your own words. You began scrutinizing their Christian beliefs. You began interrogating their Christian beliefs. What is wrong with you? Ooh, I burnt myself. Ooh, I burnt myself. Ooh. Oh, God! No. What the fuck is wrong with you? This is how you're like, I'm going to appeal to voters. Right. Are you concerned about losing people in your own base who may be pagans, Satanists, etc., left-hand pathers, who are going to see this and be like, ew, really? Like, how hostile? Like...
And I can imagine, like, if that couple is still married and they are still living in the same area and they see this on their TV and they go, well, that's not how we experienced.
No, and they're like what if they were like, oh, well, we actually, despite them being Christians, we actually had a great time with them and really liked them and yeah, we weren't the biggest fans of them talking about, like, did we ever consider Jesus or some shit. Right. But, and, like, interrogating us why we left Christianity, which I bet is also what was going on. But once we got that settled out of the way,
we had a great wedding.
We had a great wedding, and we really liked them and appreciated the fact that they did something so meaningful for us, given the fact that we were Satanists and we were under the false impression that we had to get married there. Right. Like, I just wouldn't be voting for you. That's all.
Nope.
All right, now it is time for our main topic. Reach out and touch faith. Witchcraft, pop culture, and making it up as you go along. All right, so...
As one does.
As one does. Okay, let's just get into all of this and what we're referring to. And good, bad, and yes, and just all the things. Yes. Just all the things, yes. Okay? Now, there's a lot of discourse around this within the broader, wider witchcraft, pagan, polytheistic, magic, left-hand path, etc. communities. Some of it is misunderstandings.
Right.
Some of it is correct understanding. Some of it is somewhere in between. So what do we mean by this? So pop culture witchcraft is every time.
Just leave it down.
So pop culture witchcraft, anyone else need to make any interruptions? So pop culture witchcraft is essentially incorporating elements of pop culture or incorporating pop culture into your magical practice. This would be songs, song lyrics, creating playlists, either for ritual, during ritual, or using songs and song lyrics in place of spells and spell work. Movies, let's say it's incorporating characters. Let's say, and they're like, oh my god, oh shit, yes, and there's also subdivisions in that.
Yeah.
So let's touch on that really quick. So there is Raiden from Lord Raiden from Mortal Kombat.
Right.
Okay. God of Lightning, right? He's a Mortal Kombat character.
Yeah.
But could you say, rightfully so, archetype for Zeus, archetype for Thor, archetype for Baal, archetype for any male thunder lightning deity?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So maybe you have an action figure of Raiden on your altar, but you're not praying to it as Lord Raiden.
Right.
You are still praying to it as insert thunder god deity here. It's just that is what you like to use.
Yeah.
That's the image you connected the most with because growing up you fucking loved fucking Mortal Kombat.
Yes.
And like you just fucking played it all the time. You loved the movies, you had the toy, like you were just, that was your thing. Yeah. So you emotionally, because nostalgia, memory, sense memory, these all play a big part into SpellCraft. And we're actually going to get into that when we talk about contemporary Sonic spell work.
Yes.
But briefly, and again, deeper later, but so much of spell work and making magic happen rests in the land of memory.
Yes.
Rests in the land of nostalgia, in the land of that, remember that joy, remember that time you were so blissfully happy, that one thing that you just, it could make you feel it all over again every single fucking time. And in that moment, you suddenly, I don't know, you can feel the spirit world around you, and you know that you could cast a spell in this moment and it would happen like that. Like, it's just that sense, right? And so because you get that nostalgia, it really triggers a deeper seed of your spellcraft and your magic, and it sparks your magic, your inner magic. And so therefore that is what you use versus, a print of a painting of insert said deity, or actual statue, traditional statue of insert said deity, because you don't have the same resonance. Maybe you still have those statues, but your focus is the Raiden, and that's where your eye keeps going. Because maybe when you were also as a child, maybe you couldn't practice witchcraft, you couldn't be pagan, you were in a Christian household, Orthodox Jewish home, a Muslim household, where no, right? So you had to stealthily use your Raiden toy as your stand-in for Zeus, for Thor, for Baal, etc., etc., etc. And so because you charged so much energy and funneled so much focus as your conduit, because we want to look at these action figures, these things, we have to remember these statues, that even the most traditional statue you may have on your altar of a deity, right? Where it's just straight up, that's the deity, right?
Right.
We know that's not the deity, right? Yeah. These are just vehicles. These are just like, it's our version. The dumbest way to break it down is like when you scroll on your phone and there is, under your contacts, right, there is your friend or your mom or whoever, it's their photo, right? And you tap on that and then it calls them.
Yes.
It's their tap. It's their phone. It's their profile.
Exactly.
That's what it is. But it's your focus and intent, and it's got all the energy and all the shit. And so that's your easiest, if you need to get in touch with them, you know that if you focus on that it'll always happen. You'll feel them, right? And maybe for you it is that Raiden action figure. Fine. Then there are those, and because you are like, this is why you're like, oh god, yes. Then there are those who actually pray to Raiden, and there's no archetypal connection happening. It's not I see Raiden as this. It is, I see Raiden as Raiden.
Right. I pray to
Lord Raiden of Mortal Kombat.
Yes.
And I participate in the Mortal Kombat on the astral plane. And you're like, this example you're using is real. This is a real example I am using with someone who I have spoken with, who is a pop culture witch in this thing. And the reason why I'm not saying their name or anything, I'm just using it because I do actually like them as a person. I just try to avoid any real witchcraft occult conversations, not because I don't think they aren't a witch, because they sure as fuck are. They don't ever want to talk about anything else. Like, and let me be clear, when they do spell work, like SpellCraft, it's still very traditional type of spell work. Like, so on that level, if we could stick to that,
you can have a conversation.
Or we could have a conversation about just SpellCraft and making, fucking poppets, or fucking making grigri, or fucking doing our own candles, or like doing trading candle spells or something. Like, then fine, great. Right. Like, but they can't. And so, because this is all they want to talk about. So I just try to avoid the conversations about the occult in general. Right. But just as prefacing, yes, this example I'm giving of Lord Raiden in Mortal Kombat is a real thing. This is a theology being that is. And that they are actual deities within the mythology of Mortal Kombat. So they are an archetype of this. Sonya Blade is an archetype for this goddess. It's not like Scorpion and Sub-Zero are archetypes of this deity or this spirit. No. It's Sub-Zero,
just they are gods, they are a pantheon.
Correct.
Here's my altar to Lord Raiden. I pray to him every day.
Correct. And they participate in every year. They have to go to the astral plane and participate in the Mortal Kombat in order to continue to work with their deity. So in order to continue to work with Raiden, they have to go participate in Mortal Kombat, just like in the game. It's just like it is in the game. I remember the first time I was like, so then you play the game in a ritual sense, like you put it on and then you play. And then that's when I was corrected. No, I go to that dimension. I fly, which fly. I fucking take to the skies. I astral project. I leave my body because, as we have talked about, witches didn't actually get up and fly. And I like that there are things of late, like the show Salem showed this very well, where they didn't actually fly. Yes. They astral projected out of their bodies and then flew. And actually Haxon shows them as astral projecting out. So they're shown as spirits flying. They're still on the fucking hobby horses and witches and fucking broomsticks and fucking pitchforks and shit. Right. But they are see-through because they're phantomly going, astrally traveling. And Sabrina as well shows that as well. They go, I almost gave a clue of revelation to this person, so this person does actually go, apparently, to Mortal Kombat. So there are the two different versions of that in terms of character deification. There is stand-in, and then there is they are. There is also incorporating, characters, let's say, or not characters, pop stars, rock stars, actors, living and dead. Again, there is two different directions in that. Yes. Where it goes to, especially with living actors, living musicians, etc., where it's essentially glamour magic, and you are taking in their essence. Yeah. You want to have their vibe, their aura when you're going out for the day or for the night or whatever, and you want to exemplify that. And you see it on an unmagic level where people will dress up like their favorite celebrities or get their hair and stuff, and like, wow, you look like so and so, right? Yeah. Like you looked like fucking Helena Bonham Carter. Yes, for a minute. But you weren't doing it magically. No. It just was like a thing, and like you totally at the time were not. I know the kids like to say standing, but you weren't standing her, because if you actually know what standing is, it's fucking creepy. Yes. You don't want to stand anybody. No. Fucking you. No. Like, but you were a fan, you were down with her style. You were down with looking like her. Yes. And so so that is a way of doing that unmagically. Yes. But then there's the magical way, which you did not do, where you could have done that, but then also invoked her essence, her aura to be over you intentionally to then garner that same whatever, or to talk or carry or have their mannerisms, like which you did not have.
No, I never.
You never had anything that like you didn't walk like her or any of her characters. You didn't talk like her. You didn't like exaggerate. Like you didn't have her movements.
Right. And the only things like that ever happened were just things that were naturally there.
Yes.
Like there's certain like vocal patterns that we share. There's certain like, you know, similarities in our facial features and our hair and things like that.
Yes.
But these were just the things that were naturally there. I did not go and seek out these things. I think that's important to state.
Yes. Like, and you never did. You never came across as like, oh, you're like, it was always surface aesthetic.
Right.
And the minute you actually talked to her, you were like, oh, okay. Like, there was never any like, oh. But if you're magically trying to do that, that's what you're magically wanting to take on, you can do that. And it's just a form of glamour magic, right? But then there are those who worship, actually worship in a deifying way, living actors, living musicians. Which, when you think, just saying that out loud, sounds very fucking guy who shot Reagan for Jodie Foster.
Oh my gosh,
Like, especially because if they're alive, living, like, then you basically have a shrine. Then, like, I'm sorry, but if I came over and you literally had an altar to fucking
Dakota Johnson
or whoever. Let's think of someone cooler than that. Meryl Streep.
Right.
You had an actual altar to Meryl Streep, and you were like, yeah, don't you know she's the mother goddess?
Right.
What? No, I'm never talking to you again.
Right.
Like the minute I realize you are serious, and you're like, she's my god, like, yeah, like she's my goddess. I invoke her all the time. Like when she tells me my witchcraft. I do streetcraft. Like,
streetcraft. I wonder if they call their ritual rose streetwear.
Streetwear. I love it. Like, I would be like, holy fuck.
Right.
And I would message Meryl Streep. And I'd be like, you need to watch out for this person. Like, but there are people who do that.
Yeah.
Then there are people who do that with dead celebrities, dead artists, dead famous people. Now, that is different because they are in the spirit world now. They are dead, and they are powerful spirits because they are adored and idolized. We have to remember, spirits are fed, deities are fed, everything is fed. The more it is fed, the stronger it becomes. So there are fucking powerful celebrities. I will tell you, I have worked with Audrey Hepburn. We were having a talk about this earlier. And like where a couple of, not all the time, there were, and I will say with Audrey, it was actually much more internal work I was doing. I was actually doing healing shadow work. And I am called upon Audrey Hepburn, not a character. And I have done that where I have invoked usually Holly Golightly. That's my girl. But and not in a cult, not in a money for the taxi and the powder room sort of way. Other ways, like the fun, effervescent kind of party fashionable way. Like, but there are, yes, I have invoked Holly Golightly to great results. But when I needed to heal some shit, and I was in a dark place as an adult, and I just got into a really, like, I just needed to kind of heal myself and get back to the kind, semi-kind, anyways, faggot that I was. I called upon Audrey Hepburn and invoked her energies and asked her to help me and guide me and heal me and help bring back, because there were things about Audrey Hepburn, specifically her entrepreneurship, her charitable work, with, you know, children's aid and food aid and March of Dimes, etc., that I really connected with, because I, my entire life, have always been very big on donating to things and helping out with things and being charitable. And like my mom famously could tell you how I would always inadvertently rob us of food by taking all of our canned goods to donate to the food bank in school and stuff all the time. And then she has to come to the school and get some of our fucking food back. But I did it not to win the class contest or anything, because I never won that. I never won shit. So like, I never thought, like, I was never worried about, like, oh, we'll win the class pizza for the most food drive donations, because I was just like, I never win anything. So that was never my focus. But it was because I would think about kids, and I would think about these families with nothing, with no food. And I, as a kid, didn't know of any other way to donate to the food drive or food bank unless it was at my school. right?
Right.
So that was the only time I could do it, was once a year, usually around Thanksgiving time and the holidays, you know? And so every year I would clean out our fucking cupboards to donate, and then I would cry when my mom would have to take the food back. I didn't cry again because of, oh, we're now not gonna make it to the thing. I would cry and say I would cry to my mom and be like, I don't want these kids to have any food, and she's like, but then we won't have any food. So you can do that. You can. I've called upon Freddie Mercury to have a seance with him and to talk with him. Like, you should do that. Like, I have called on Marilyn Monroe. Like, I have reached out to this girl right here. Like, I have. Like, I remember it was August 6th, 1995, which was the anniversary of her death. And I was super obsessed with Marilyn Monroe at the time. And I fucking seanced her. No, it was before 1995. That I think was the last time I did it. Because then I got really into Audrey Hepburn. But I want to say the first time was when I was 9. Because I had gone to California, to LA, and we had gone to Hollywood Cemetery and shit. And I'd gone to her grave, and I had just gotten into her. Yeah. And I was super obsessed with Marilyn. And I seanced her and asked her if she would be my guardian angel. And she famously, she laughed. She went, I don't know, that's not what I do. And then I frowned. And then and then I was like, I do remember asking her, not who killed her, because I'm sorry, you're like, why wouldn't you ask her, oh, who killed her then? Or how did she die? Was it suicide? I didn't ask. In the end, do I think she did it on her own? Yes. Do I think she put the pills down her throat? Yes. Do I think she was pressured, coerced, and driven to do so by other people and other forces outside? And I don't mean like supernatural forces. Do I mean the White House? Do I mean the government, McCarthy? Do I mean the Kennedys? Do I mean that whole fucking kit and caboodle? Yes, I do. I think it was a combination of things. I think she was driven to do it to herself. And I have always felt that way. I just asked if she was happy. And she told me she was. And she's like, specifically, she giggled again. And she was like, oh, absolutely. So, and that was that. And but it took 3 years for that to happen. Like, I tried to contact her for 3 years. It wasn't until 1995 that she finally answered. And it was very brief. And it was very boop, boop, badoop. And it was gone. Okay. And I've never tried to contact her again. Never, reached out. Honestly.
She's probably like, this little boy will not leave me alone.
Honestly, she's always made me sad. I used to just cry over her a lot. I would just cry about her a lot as a child. The film Calendar Girl with Jason Priestley, about him and his two friends, based off a true story, who go on a road trip across the summer to go to Hollywood to meet her. And they do, and it's a whole thing, and then they get to college, and the film famously ends with Jason Priestley's character at college finding out that she had died. And it was just really sad. Wow. And I was obsessed with it. But it also was just, I would just cry over dead people a lot.
Yeah.
I still do. So that is shit you can do. But then there are people who literally worship her as a god and deify her, which I would not do. I would say, could you venerate her in a saint way? Right. Absolutely. But you shouldn't be deifying. You shouldn't just be like, well, Marilyn Monroe is my goddess. Right. No. Marilyn Monroe is a person. She's a living person. She's not a god, but you do have, so there's like a good and then there's a bad. Right. So we just kind of want to get into all of it and our thoughts on that. Yes. And what we think is kind of okay, what is not, and what do we do and don't do and incorporate ourselves. Yes. So, all right. So first and foremost, archetypes. Yes. What is an archetype versus a deity? Are they interchangeable? We know Carl Jung basically says deities are archetypes. Archetypes are the standards of idea of, for example, in horror, we have the final girl. Yes. And she's got a tradition, she is a pure girl, although these days she is allowed to be sexually active as long as she lost her virginity in a meaningful relationship. And if she is single, she is broken up with the ex who she had and she had been in a relationship with a really long time with, and she had lost her virginity to them. Right. Now, of course, the final girl can be a guy or a girl. If it's a guy, the final guy is usually gay.
Right.
Otherwise, it'll usually just still traditionally be a final girl. But her partner can be a guy, girl, they, them.
Right.
So that has changed. But it still has to be the person, if she did have sex, that still has to be the person that she was in a relationship for at least a year with. And then they had sex. So that's an archetype, right? Like, everyone else has to die, and then she has to be the one left standing. She has to inherit all the powers of everyone who passes one by one.
Right.
The movie The Final Girls, which is an amazingly funny horror comedy parody idea of the whole archetype of this, explores this actually very awesomely and beautifully, how, and also tearfully, honestly, how the succession of Final Girl happens and how it has to be. And how the reason why everyone's like, why suddenly is the Final Girl so fucking strong all the time?
Right.
Why does the final girl, final guy be able to thwart what others, can't they, the killer or whoever, keep up with them? It's because they inherited, with each passing of a victim, they inherited that person's strength. And then they come up against the big supernatural beast, killer, whatever, and kick their ass. Right. Then, of course, the sequel, we need a new final person, and now that one suddenly is usually killed off in the first opening, and suddenly it's weak again because a new final one has been called. Oh, like the Slayer.
Yes.
The final girl, Buffy, the final girl who refused to die. So that's an archetype. Katniss Everdeen is the archetype of the self-sufficient, kick-ass huntress, right? You could find that in Artemis, obviously, in fucking Boudica, who's a real person, but again, is someone you could reach out to in a veneration way, not in a deifical way. Any hunting female deity, spirit, you could connect to Katniss Everdeen, right? Now, and that's fine. So that's an archetype, something you can connect to. And Carl Jung argues that deities are just archetypes. They're just these ideas, right? They're a subconscious piece of ourselves that we can interact with and tap into, but they only exist within our subconscious. I think that is bullshit.
I agree.
I do not believe that. I do not think deities are archetypes in any way, shape, or form. I think that just like anything else, they can be the idea of an archetype, of course, just in the way Katniss is the archetype of this woman that also Wonder Woman is. Right. So is Artemis. So is whoever else. They are embodying this archetype, not the other way around. Exactly. They're not the archetype. So the deities, to me, I believe, are very much, you guys know our thoughts on this. Yeah. They are very much living, breathing, autonomous, have their own lives, their own histories, their own shits going on. I think it is much more unknown than what we do actually know. I think that we have to take whatever the stories are. Let's use the Hellenic pantheon as an example, because that is the one we all are most familiar with in the Western world. So it's the easy example to reach for. The whole everything that went down with the Titans, before the Titans, how it all happened, blah, 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 blah. I think, honestly, most of that did not happen at all the way that we perceive and have been told, and it's been jotted down. I think some semblance of all of this shit occurred. Oh, yeah. But we do not know, because we are us. Yeah. And we were not there at the beginning of time, primordial, before man walked as man. And then various various floods swept things away, and civilizations began rebuilding again. Not were wiped out. Mankind was not wiped out, but there were great floods more than once throughout the centuries and millennia that wiped out whole villages, cities, etc., and killed many people and left very few, and they basically had to rebuild and shit all over again. And of course so yes, there was wiping out of civilizations, being built over, buried in sand, etc., new structure, the way of it. But we have no idea. We weren't there. So I don't think that, as we know these things to occur, have occurred, did. But do I believe that the gods exist? That the deities, the gods and goddesses are real? The Loa, the Orisha? Absolutely. I know that they are. It's not just belief, I know. And if you're an atheist, if you're agnostic, if you're skeptical, you're a skeptic, you're a skeptical witch, whatever, and you're like, well, But how? Like in the way that Christians claim to feel it and know it as well. Yes.
Yeah.
Like I have spoken with HEKA-TEA, deific download, Gnostic knowledge, conversation, booba dooba dee, all the time with my deities and the spirits that I work with. Absolutely. Now, is it in a one-on-one conversation here and blah, blah, blah? No. Does that happen at times? Yes. Very rare on occasion, but will I be sitting there and, in front of an altar to said deity that I'm in front of, and suddenly I will clearly hear them in my head out of nowhere when I'm not even thinking about what they suddenly are talking about. Maybe it's just something I asked a week ago.
Yeah.
And I'm in the middle of focusing on something else, and then suddenly in my head, I will clearly hear I will first feel a foreign presence and feel it is a foreign presence. And if you felt this, which I know so many of you watching have, so you know what I'm talking about. But when you feel this, even inside your brain, there was a feeling of an alien's presence there.
Yes.
A thought form that is not your own inside your brain suddenly. And then it speaks, and it is not your voice, it is theirs. And it is saying whatever the fuck it is that they're saying, addressing whatever the fuck they're addressing. And like I said, a lot of times it'll be something that I asked about a week ago, a month ago, 2 months ago, and have completely forgotten about. And now suddenly, boom, revelation, here you go. And sometimes it will be their voice. That said deity or spirit's voice. Clear as fucking day in my brain. And it's not my voice, it's not my thought. And I can feel them around me and inside me. And then I can respond back. And sometimes, yes, there will be maybe not a whole fucking like long ass fucking haha kiki conversation, but maybe 2 or 3 things said back to each other in dialogue. Yes. But most of the time, it'll be through an oracle deck or a tarot reading, or it will just be a visual picture in my brain of something that's suddenly, taha, and it'll be like a light bulb, and then suddenly it'll be like divine revelation, and my question's been answered. But it's not like a voice, it's just like an imagined scenario suddenly just daydream pop into my head, and it's playing this out. There's the answer. Oh, that's how I solved this problem. Oh, that's the answer to my question. Oh yeah, I remember that I was wondering, I asked about that like 3 months ago. Like, thank you. Better late than never, haha. And then I'm always like, oh, I'm just kidding. Please don't fight me. Exactly. They're like, I know you won't, but still don't. Like, so yeah, there are times when there'll be that kind of conversation. But no, most of the time.
Yeah, by and large, no.
No, by and large, not at all. Like, but there are people who literally, and I heard some of them at Spring Mysteries, walking around. I will fortunately say no one in the vesselage, so that at least, so I'm not calling any of the people we've really gotten to know out. I've never met these people. It was like
just like someone
bypass conversation. But they started talking about God spousing and being married, God spouse. And which again is a legit thing that happens. That is a practice. That is a legit thing that happens. Do naughty things happen? Yes, normally in the case of a wet dream, some very hypersexual dream, lucid dream. So let's be very clear. It's not just like a dream.
Right.
We're gonna go. You're very much present and aware, and you're with said deity. Usually, though, in this practice, this is going on. If you are God's spouse, traditionally, something like that only occurs once, maybe twice a year.
Right.
It's usually like a duty for their patronage in exchange for their mutual love and devotion and protection to you.
Yes.
That deity, maybe once or twice a year, will be like, let's talk boobs. Right? Okay. These people we're talking about literally like all the time. They astral and they like meet them and and then they have sex. They fuck and it's great. Like, so
this is more so like God dating.
Yeah,
what they're
like
describing.
Exactly. So I overhear these people talking, and they of course mention Thor and Loki. Of course. Oh, and of course, who's Thor and Loki are we talking about? Hemsworth and Hiddleston. That is who we are talking about. And this Loki and this Thor, she was telling this person, well, first this guy was telling her that he goes to the astral, he's God's spouse to Thor and Loki, and that they like have sex like twice a week. And then the woman he was talking to, so I don't think they even knew each other. I think they met at Mystery, so they were having this like first getting to know you conversation after a workshop. And no, there were not any workshops on God spousing or pop culture deities or anything like that. There was, but they must have obviously somehow gotten in conversation about this shit. And she then proceeds to say, oh yeah, I'm married to Loki too. I'm God's spouse to Loki too. Yeah, he's insatiable. He always loves to fuck me. Stopped in my fucking tracks for a second, and then I pretended that I was on my phone because I didn't want them to think that I had stopped because of what they had said, but it was more like I was checking my phone and it was coincidental because I was so flabbergasted. Not even because I've not heard this before, because I have many times, but just every time I hear this type of shit, it's make-believe. Like, it is make-believe. I don't know what else to tell you. I don't. Yeah. And if you are watching this and this, I'm describing you, literally, like you were the people there, or I'm describing you as in you are one of these people. This is not real. Especially if they are the pop culture versions. Especially if your Loki is Hiddleston. Right. Your Thor is Hemsworth. This isn't real. No. You're not fucking Hiddleston as Loki. You're just not. I mean, yeah, Loki can take on, but why would Loki, for your benefit, take on the form of Hiddleston? Right. Because he wants to please you, because he loves you, because you're God's spouse together? No. Hemsworth is railing you 3 ways from Sundays and thundering your prostate? No. He's not. I mean, maybe you are a gay man who in real life is having a relationship DL with Chris Hemsworth, and that is happening. Right. Then good for you. I've never heard a gay rumor of Hemsworth, so I doubt that. But if someone out there and that is happening and Hemsworth is DL and they are getting rammed by Hemsworth, then cool, you are getting your prostate thundered by that Thor. But in general...
Although the other question is, are you only fucking Hemsworth in character?
Right.
Or are you just having an affair with Hemsworth?
Right. And if so, if it is strictly like a roleplay thing and like Hemsworth comes in costume as Thor to rail you when he's DLing, like, hot. Again, this is all just make-believe. Like, do not, like, please, we don't want to get sued by Hemsworth and his people. Like, that is not what we're just doing hypotheticals here. This is
as an example.
Right? But if you, like, these people, and you're like, how do you know that it was the Loki? Because they said it in the conversation. Right. Like, when they were like, oh, what? Like, they literally said, like, oh, like, no, like, the one, like, from Asgard. Yeah. Like, and I was like, oh, my God. Like, yeah, they're like from Asgard. And he was like, oh, yeah, me too. And I was like, oh, fuck. And then I was like, and yes, Asgard, Valhalla, Asgard, all of that, is, but then they proceeded to mention Aquaman.
Oh.
And Aquaman is DC, so that's a whole other, like, that's, I'm nerding out. Right. But, like, then they mentioned Aquaman, and, well, she did. And then he fucking mentioned working with Superman. So then that's when I was like, okay, and I proceeded to continue to walk down the hall. I was fucking done. I was like, that was everything I needed to confirm that they were talking about the comic book / movie characters, and not actual Thor, not actual Loki. I guess Aquaman should be Poseidon.
Right.
Like, I don't know. I don't know. It was just, no. So, that kind of God spousing is not real.
No.
It's not.
It's not.
Especially if those deities that you are God spouse to are literally those versions, pop culture versions. That's not real.
No.
And now you're like, oh, but what? An egregore, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Can you create a personal egregore? Absolutely. That's a familiar spirit, a servitor. You can also create a Tolpec. And a Tolpec, in a way, is also familiar, but it has its own fucking bearings and shit. Think Lasher, if you're familiar with Anne Rice. Lasher would be more like a Tolpec, because he has his own plans, his own intentions, his own machinations going on. He is not a familiar spirit who does sign bidding like Salem does for Sabrina, which would be a servitor or familiar spirit, right? Okay, so an egregore is essentially a familiar spirit that you can then instruct, do whatever, work with, and sure, it has some power, it has whatever power you have fed it and given to it. because an egregore is powered by you. And remember, you have created it, so you are responsible for constantly feeding it. Nothing else is going to feed it. Now, if you're talking about, in order for, let's say, Thor of the comics to have any actual real fucking power, you would need hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people putting in that energy, worship into comic book Marvel Thor or movie Marvel Thor to make that thought form, that egregore, that powerful enough, that strong enough, that he could have the same effect on the physical world as an actual deity of the elements. Okay? So it is not the same. And then you sit there and get into, well, but if the deities, see, there you go. You're like, who and what came first? I am of the belief that the deities were first.
I agree.
They were, and that's usually how it goes, right? Now there are people who can say, no, man came first, man then created, thought of, that's how that was formed. Sure, except my thought on that is, how would you, to get that much consensus back then in a Neolithic era to create the strength of these deities, to get that kind of consensus when we were so spread out and tribal and Neolithic and like nomadic. Yes, we shared things, but we know that basically it all started at HEKA-TEA and Chattahoyuk, and that primordial source was Kibli HEKA-TEA, and then it stemmed out from there. So and we do now know somewhat how that all organized and nomadic peoples came together. So there was no, it's not like there was a tribunal of like, okay, now we're gonna have Zeus, and we're gonna have these, now we're gonna have Querden, now we're gonna have fucking Osiris, now we're gonna have fucking Ogun, now we're gonna have, like, there wasn't that.
No.
That's not how it happened. So I personally do believe the deities, the spirits, these primordial, powerful, deific forces are exactly as ancient. Primord is exactly as I just described. They are all those things. Therefore, so that's how they exist and have power and influence, because they're responsible for all of that shit. You can't give that responsibility in any real meaningful way to Marvel Thor, whether movie version or comic book version. Maybe in your own life, comic book Thor can bring a storm to your home. Right? But like, and you're like, oh wow, like, yeah, a storm, and then sure, you got a storm passed on you, because that egregore has enough power that you've given it as a witch and devotee of it, fed it enough that it has a centralized effect, like Lasher. But couldn't like go like fucking knock down the Jersey. Like, doesn't have that power. You would have to have hundreds of thousands of people believing that version of Thor to give it that power. And that doesn't exist. And you need to recognize that that's an egregore on its own anyways. You need to recognize that you've created that. That is not something that already exists, and you have all this great knowledge. Like, and you know something that other people don't. Like, again, that is not the same as someone who has comic book Thor, Marvel Thor, on their altar or whatever, as a visual representation that creates an emotional and psychic reaction to it. That helps you better connect with actual Nordic fucking Thor and Nordic fucking Loki, and you understand that, and you don't see it, you're not worshiping comic Thor, but you see it as, this is your statue of Thor. That is totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that. That is intelligent. You're doing pop culture witchcraft right in that situation. Because you're recognizing the difference between visual aid, archetypal energy, psychic, punch, influence, kick, whatever, right?
But you're not building an altar to Aquaman and worshiping Aquaman
as Aquaman and not as a stand-in for fucking Poseidon, Neptune, or whoever else. Like, now there are also people who are just super traditionalist witches, and they just balk at incorporating any pop culture elements into anything. Oh, you have Catwoman on your altar and stand in for Sekhmet. Oh God, blah. For Bast, a stand in for Bast, you have Catwoman. Like, oh, blah, no. Like, that's silly. But that does exist. There is that stigma, and people are like, that's making light of it. If people see it, blah, blah, blah. I don't agree with that.
No, I don't agree with that either.
That, to me, again, is incorporating pop culture in a correct way. And I don't think it diminishes anything, because you don't know the circumstance that maybe a person is in, that maybe that is their only option in order to get away with having an altar. Is to have figurines on their end table, on their dresser, on their console, right?
Exactly. And maybe they were not raised in the faith that they would eventually discover, and they saw a movie, and through that they discovered their deity. That does not mean that they are worshiping the character.
No.
That was just a catalyst for them to discover the deity that perhaps was calling to them, and that they would eventually end up working with.
And that's the thing.
And you can't say that that person is wrong for incorporating that character with whom they had through whom they had a bond with their deity. You can't say that that person is wrong for incorporating that onto their altar of said deity.
Well, no, because when you do that, that's creating, again, an emotional, psychic, spiritual, physical, because you feel that shit physically, connection that's easier to allow you to tap into that connection to call them up.
Exactly.
Because we are built on nostalgia.
Yeah.
We are built on memory. We are creatures built on memory and nostalgia. And the things that trigger us emotionally usually are things rooted in nostalgia. Things rooted in an emotional connection to a time when we felt better about ourselves in the world and still felt hope and possibility.
Yes.
Because what happens most of the time once we become adults and we realize what the fucking world is like, especially now, it feels fucking really hopeless.
Yeah.
There's no more summer breaks. There's no more spring breaks. There's no more off for 3 months, 2 months, a week, 2 weeks, every other month. Like half days, field day. None of that shit exists. Field trips. That shit doesn't exist anymore. Unless you are of a certain socioeconomic standing, you are hustling and working
24/7
all the time. Yeah, all the fucking time. And then your days off are spent working at home, catching up on your chores, grocery shopping, running errands, not relaxing.
No.
So that is what we do. We devote all this time, right? We devote all of this time into this shit. And so when you are incorporating certain things like that, it's because it's reminding you of a time in your life when it felt hopeful. It just, you look forward to shit.
Yeah.
You look forward to, let's say, June 16th.
Right.
Because then you knew 12 p.m. bell was out. You can still recall that last day of school, senior year, and maybe it fucking makes you cry like nothing else. And watching shit from the year you graduated, hearing songs from the year you graduated, fucking does shit to you and makes you feel that same age again.
Yeah.
In a way that nothing else does. But in that way, and I don't mean hyperbole, you literally suddenly are like, I remember what it was like to be 17.
Right.
And hearing this song and that summer and, you know, fucking June 23rd, 2002. And you feel it again. And it makes you smile and grin and maybe brings tears to your eye and you sob. But it's all this powerful fucking emotion. That's because we operate on that. And so there are elements, so when you incorporate that shit in pop culture into your life, it triggers something that even, so then when you become an adult, why would you not maybe still have those action figures on your altar?
Exactly.
You have spent years putting psychic and emotional, powerful energy into them, into these things, into these images, these characters. So you're still going to use them as the vessel, as the phone. You're going to still use them to press to go, hey, hey girl, hey boy, I need to talk.
Right.
Like, you're still, hey creature, like you're still going to be like, hey, like you're, of course, like you feel the spiritual energy to those things when you touch them. I have been to people's houses and walked up to an altar that was a stealth altar because they were married to a Christian.
Right.
And their Christian partner didn't even know that they were a witch.
Yeah.
And they just were not in a position to be able to ever come out of the broom closet to their family, so they've had to play along this entire fucking time, right? And they love their family, so they don't want to leave. They just are practicing in stealth, right? And they've got there in their office or in their she shed or man cave a collector shelf, right? And it's got some figurines on it, and maybe it's got some comics or the books, right? Maybe it's got some photos, some memento, collectible things, and then some candles here, some candles there, maybe LED candles, whatever, right? But it looks to the eye, it just looks like a fucking side table with a bunch of collectible shit on it, right? And you walk up to that, and you can feel the power radiating off of it.
Yeah.
Why would you get rid of that? I have shit on my own altar that like is pop culture, that like I've had for decades
Yeah.
now, that like you can fucking feel the power radiating off of them.
Oh,
I would never
100%.
get rid of them, but I don't conflate or confuse them. I
No.
understand exactly what they're standing for.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. There is nothing wrong with that.
No.
It's when you actually say, okay, Sailor Moon is my moon goddess. Queen Beryl is my dark goddess.
Right.
And it's not Queen Beryl is a representation archetype of said dark goddess.
Right.
Sailor Moon, Sabrina is an archetypal stand-in for said deity or thing, which is what they are.
Right.
That is how they're designed. Again, that is how you should do it.
Exactly.
If you had an entire altar, all of Sailor Moon characters, but you were like, oh, because, well, Sailor Moon is the archetype of blah, blah, blah. Queen Beryl is the archetype of blah, blah, blah. Tuxedo Mask is King Endymion is the stand-in, is the archetype of this deity. 1,000%.
Yes.
When you are like, the mythology within Sailor Moon
Is my pantheon.
is the pantheon and how everything works. And the characters themselves are not archetypes, but Sailor Moon is Sailor Moon, Queen Serenity, Serena, and that is who you are praying to.
Right. Oh,
No, that is a problem.
Yeah.
And yes, it looks like cosplay.
it does.
It doesn't look serious.
No.
It does look silly. It just does. I don't know what to tell you. If you can't differentiate that through line,
Exactly.
and again, if they're just a through line stand-in to an actual image of a deity, and you're using them, but you're coming to them as the actual deity or spirit that influenced them or whatever, then great.
Exactly.
But if you're coming to them to the actual manga character
Right.
and playing to the actual made up by a writer, an artist, characters as actual deities, that is not correct.
No.
That isn't. I don't know what to tell you. That is not correct. That is not real. You are made egregores, sure, but you then need to come to terms with the fact that that is what you have done.
Right.
You have created an entity. You have summoned as a witch, which is your right to do. Create all the fucking creatures you want. Summon all the entities you want. Invoke all the entities and energies you want and deities you want. You're a witch. Do whatever the fuck you want.
Right.
Be at the hold of the law. God damn it. But know what you're doing and understand what it is. Like, that's what you need to do. Incorporating fucking movies and shit. Incorporating lines from films into your spell work.
Yes.
Totally fine.
Absolutely.
There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing absolutely wrong with that. Really, let's just be clear, everyone's gripe about this, for the most part, is not about pop culture elements.
No.
At all. I think that is a gross mischaracterization and belittlement and simplification of the critique, of the criticism.
I agree. Because a lot of times when people are clapping back against the criticism, they're saying, oh, these people don't like pop culture elements, but then they proceed to describe actual pop culture witchcraft, which are two vastly different things.
Correct.
Very different topics.
Correct. You can be a pop culture witch where you understand what every character or whatever stands in for, right?
Sure.
And your entire altar can have pop characters and pop culture characters and shit on it, right? All of your spells can be songs, song lyrics, contemporary songs that resonate with you. For example, prime example. Oh no, I'm not doing that because I'm going to do that in SpellCraft, so I'm not giving an example of that. But you understand, you have the mechanics of, you're picking songs that still reference the subject matter, and you can still work out the mechanics and translate of actual spell, still do the mechanics of spell work. So you can differentiate between just singing along to a song and singing along to it as spell work.
Exactly.
And that's fine. Then get on with your bad self. Get that magical grimoire going on your fucking Spotify. Like, have at it. Have your sonic fucking spellbook. Like, great. What people are really talking about when they're criticizing pop culture, and yes, like I said, there are assholes who literally are just like, I don't know, if you incorporate anything, music, anything, then it's not serious. I've said it many a time on the show. If you're watching, let's say, Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, you're watching Charmed, you're watching some movie with witches or spells in it, and you like the fucking spell, And the spell genuinely is like a spell that you were looking for anyways, right? It's a genuine, and but like the writers of the movie or the show did a way better job at crafting that language of that spell than you could have ever done. It sounds cool as shit. Take it, use it. Who the fuck cares? I do it all, I literally do it all the time. I have so many spells in my Book of Shadows that have come from movies and TV shows. You know what? It has not made them any less legitimate. They're still spells, and the power I put behind them, and the mechanics I incorporate. Because let's be clear, so many times, and a lot of times writers and shit production will do this on purpose, where the spell will be about something, but then you'll look at the elements of the spell around it, and you're like, but you wouldn't use that candle, or you wouldn't necessarily burn that incense or those herbs, or use that color. Like, they actually a lot of times do that on purpose because they are superstitious / weary about actually doing spell work. Because remember, on the set of The Craft, famously, they just adhered to a lot of spell work, traditional as it was, and shit happened. A lot of weird shit happened, of course. What we would call those confirmational synchronicities that say, hey, your spell is working, right? So, but for people not adept, it would freak you out, right? So, people tend to just like, why there's never a 413, why it's, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, then 14. Which, I'm sorry, that's still the 13th floor.
Exactly.
Like, you just haven't numbered it that way. Yes. Which, if numbers are power, then yes, you're assigning the digit to the number. But in reality, it's still the 13th fucking floor. Right? If
you walk up the stairs,
it's still 13 fucking floors.
Flights, yes.
Yeah. And what you're calling floor 15 is actually 14. Right. So, yeah. So you can incorporate shit like that, and that's totally fine. You're like, oh, I'm gonna go out for the night, and I want to fucking feel like fucking Jessica Rabbit. You're gonna grab the red dress.
Yep.
Like you're doing whatever you need to do to invoke some Jessica Rabbit energy, and you invoke Jessica Rabbit energy. And you're like, well, that's a fictional character. Yes, but you understand she's an archetype, and you're taking on the archetypal energy that Jessica Rabbit exuded in the movie. Yes. And you're carrying that in your brain, and you're using that to inform your glamour spell. And then the glamour magic incorporates that aura of Jessica Rabbit. And maybe you'll saunter like her, and maybe you will have that, oh, my little sugar honey bunny, like, oh, like, there, you may have that, you may have that, why don't you do right? You might have that, like, Jessica Rabbit-ness, and go out and have a great time and seduce a lot of people, and they love you in your fucking red dress.
Exactly.
But you aren't actually praying to Jessica Rabbit or invoking Jessica Rabbit as an actual physical, for lack of a better term, solid, real deity. You understand that you are basically performing glamour magic, and you are incorporating the archetypal energy of Jessica Rabbit into your element and aura, right? If I'm having a fabulous swinging party, I will use glamour magic to invoke the archetypal, powerful essence and energy of the character of Holly Golightly from the film, mind you, not the book. That Holly Golightly, the book is way messier. But of the film, and guess what? It works. I have a fabulous time. Most people will be like, in those situations, will be like, oh my God, you make me think of like Audrey Hepburn and Breakfast at Tiffany's.
And I'm like, I wonder why.
Like, and I love it, and it's great, but I'm not worshiping Holly Golightly. I'm not looking at Holly Golightly as an actual spiritual entity or energy that I'm now have enough women iconized and fed Holly Golightly that she herself is a powerful essence. Absolutely. Yeah. But she's not a deity.
No.
And if you are seeing her as a deity, then that is a problem.
Yep.
And it makes us, makes us look stupid.
Yes.
It makes us look silly. Like, it just does. And, like, you have to think about that, okay? Like, look at this Trana, Garriott, or whatever her fucking name is. Like, the way she described the satanic wedding, right? She didn't take them seriously.
No.
She didn't take their beliefs seriously. Now, we don't know if they were Luciferian, or, another term would be religious, or theistic Satanists and Luciferians, or atheistic. We don't know what form of Satanism they were. We just know how she's viewed them and didn't take them seriously, right? Well, when you are trying to convince someone like this to take a chance on us, and maybe they're having to suspend their disbelief, and maybe they're deeply Christian, but they are like, okay, the way you talk about your faith, the way you talk about paganism, the way you talk about your gods and goddesses, and how much they mean to you is so deep and so much like me, right? and then they come to your home or whatever, or not your home. They come to your home and it is exactly as you put it, right? But then the next time they encounter a pagan, it's Batman is my dark god.
Right.
And not an archetypal stand-in. I have a Batman figurine or statue on my altar, but to represent this deity.
Right.
No. You are worshiping Batman / Bruce Wayne as a dualistic night and day, dark and light dualistic deity. That person not only is going to be like, wait, what? You wanted me to take this seriously?
Right.
This? But it actually pushes those people even further back to where they 10 toes deep down, where they were, even more so.
Yeah.
And because now, their discernment, they will thank Jesus for the discernment in showing them the truth of the fallacy and how real, non-serious this was. But also, they will double down that they were deceived. And they were almost led astray into believing that our beliefs and ideas were just as legit as theirs. So yeah, all in all, like, we don't, obviously want to spend forever harping on this. There are clearly a lot of elements of pop culture and incorporating pop culture into your spell work, into your ritual work, into your practice, that are really good.
Yeah, absolutely.
And beneficial. We do it.
Yes.
We have playlists for our deities.
Yes.
Obviously, like, yes, there are like traditional songs on there.
Yeah, I like to kind of use a mix of traditional and contemporary songs.
Yeah, and most are contemporary. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong again with like you doing glamour work and incorporating the essence, calling upon the essence of pop stars, musicians, models, actors, whatever, living or dead, or fictional characters, essence, energies, whatever, and incorporating that into glamour work for yourself. That's totally fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Totally. The problem is when you really just deify literal fictional characters, not as archetypes, not as a vehicle to other entities, but as something that it was never even intended for. That. That's the other thing too. There was no intention of these characters being deities, being worshipped. So that's not even there. There was nothing incorporated to create an actual what was intended to be a structure. Now, granted, you have things like Lovecraft and Cthulhu,
right?
And the Cthulhu mythos, the old ones, the Necronomicon, Lovecraftian craft, all of that, and you say, okay, well, H.P. Lovecraft, he created this fictional world, these deities, blah, blah, blah. Yes and no. So, again, as a fiction writer, as an author, I will tell you, and pretty much any author in history will tell you, you're tapping into something. We're tapping into something, someplace, some dimension, characters take over. It's not exactly as cut and dry as, I'm just going to make up these characters and do. There is a medium clairvoyant trance state to like process that comes in, and they're talking to you. I can't explain it any other way. You're connecting, and so how much of Cthulhu and the dark gods, the old ones, did he come up with, and how much of that is these intergalactic, subterranean, aquatic deities who had reached out to him. Famously, Geiger, the artist Geiger, who is famous for the xenomorphs, he had an entire temple under his home to the xenomorphs, and he said that these were real interstellar, intergalactic, deep space, like interdimensional demon deities. These guys right here, the xenomorphs of alien fame, and he famously painted them often in very erotic sexual situations, and he said that he would have astral sex with them and be with them, and a lot of people say, oh, well, Geiger just came, dark imagination painting them, but he himself is like, nah, I didn't make up the xenomorphs as Cameron called them. I don't think that's what Geiger called them, but that they actually exist, and he's encountered them. And he had, like I said, an entire temple sanctuary dedicated. It had an inverted pentagram in there, and it was a religious dark interspace for him. So I would say that probably is more than likely what happened with Lovecraft as well. Yeah. And
we haven't seen his temple though.
No. And and Lovecraft famously was apparently a part of a specific philosophical society or idea of thought that actually completely didn't believe in magic, spiritualist, paranormal, anything at all.
Right.
Yet he connected with this, and it involved, you know, you read the Cthulhu mythos, you read any of his stories, ignoring the disgustingly blatant anti-Semitism and racism.
Right.
You will see that there is also an influx of science, biology, botany, also history, archaeology, scholarism, reading. So I think that through these other avenues is how he came to access this realm and then create very effective spells. I mean, that's the thing, is the Chant of Cthulhu very famously is used for trance like meditative work by Lovecraftians.
Right.
So again, there is a pop cultural root to Cthulhu, the old ones, Lovecraftian work, the Necronomicon.
Right.
As someone who did own the Necronomicon, which, to be true, the Necronomicon in itself, you go out and buy the book, the Necronomicon. It is actually not by Lovecraft himself. It is by two authors who have taken the compilated works of Lovecraft and the Cthulhu mythos and his magics, and then they just basically put it all together in one book. Yeah. They didn't like create their own thing or rewrite it. It's all still Craft's writings.
Okay.
It's just they took them all from separate pieces and then into one grimoire, the Necronomicon. I owned it. I will tell you, I did some shit out of it. I was 16, 17, 18. I was a rebellious witch. And
as you still are.
As I still am. But I was a recklessly rebellious teen witch. And I liked to seek out the dark forces and join their hellish crusade a lot more actively than I was much more actively seeking it out now than I am now. Now it's more like if they show up, I'm like, hey, you know, I'm not ready to go to bed yet. Sure, I was looking for something to do. I'll put my shoes back on. That's where I'm at now. Back then I was like, anyone want to party? And so Cthulhu and the dark one, the old ones, were my jam for a minute. So it does work. And anyone who has practiced any of this of Lovecraftian craft will tell you it fucking works. But again, I wouldn't say that because, Lovecraft just kicked. No, he tapped into something. They sought him out. Yeah. They exist, and they sought him out. And they found a really great vehicle and means to find new disciples and to reignite their own devotion and worship, which is still strong today. And there are many Craftians out there who very much work with the old gods of Cthulhu and the Cthulhu mythos. So, so those are just, those can be, but there are other circumstances involved. I would say if you're just flat out, just like, worshiping fictional characters that are just pop culture, intended for pop culture, they had no intention through the artist of becoming something like Cthulhu and Co. did, clearly. Then I would just say, what? Like, you could sit there and say, the gods, the deities and shit that we know and love, when, they were, at the beginning, when they first came around, they were pop culture, blah, blah, blah. Well, not really. Because you gotta think, where you go back 3,500 years to ancient Ireland and ask them about their deities and worshiping their deities, they will say, well, this is how we've always done it.
Exactly.
And what they mean by that, they don't mean one generation, two generations. They mean, and now let's say remember, we've gone back 3,500 years. They're saying, for the past 3,500 years, 4,000 years, we've been worship these gods, and we've been doing this is how we've always done it. And you're like, okay, well, where's the genesis? But that's exactly the point. Can you even fathom? You fathom, like, for example, I am 41 years old. Thank you. I know I look really cute and good for my age. I am 41 years old. I just try to fathom and remember being in 8th grade, 1997-98 school year. It is now 2026. I think back to 1997, 1998. And then, yes, in some ways, I can recall it like yesterday and remember it like yesterday. But in its truth, it feels like fucking ages ago.
Very long time ago.
Ages ago. Now, fathom 3,500 years ago. You can't. Just try to fathom 200 years ago. Stop for a minute and think and actually try to fathom 200 years ago. to now, when just fathoming the length of your own life already feels so fucking long. Fuck, when you're in high school.
Yeah.
When you are in high school, elementary school already feels 1,000 years ago.
Exactly.
So then try to actually fathom 1,000 years ago. Now fathom that 3,500 years ago in that conversation. Now that we are on this clear on page here. And then they say to you, this is how we've always done it for the past 4,000 years from them. From them. Because what we think of, and we've talked about this on the show before, and other scholars and shit, if you watch all the nerdy history shit that we do, you will know, or read the nerdy history articles that we do, and just explain, you would know that just as we say, they also say that often what we refer to as ancient Rome, ancient Greece, the ancient world, was towards the end of that period.
Yes.
For them, what would be ancient Greece and ancient Rome was already a few thousand years before that. When we think of the height of the Incan and Mayan empires and the Aztec empires and their pyramids and their cities and all of that, so many of that was literally 800 years ago. 800 years ago. Yet when we look at it, we conceptualize it in the same way we conceptualize the ruins of Greece and Rome.
Exactly.
Like, we have no capability of conceptualizing the movement of time. So you can't conceptualize that conversation 3,500 years ago. You have no way to conceptualize it. Therefore, when they tell you that these deities that you are still working with today, that people are working with today, they tell you 3,500 years ago that they've been worshiping that deity the same way
since the beginning.
Since the beginning, and they can't tell you how, why, well, because they've always been. They've always been. There is no conceptual. There is no where, from, what, therefore, out. It is it. But we can conceptualize when the first manga of Sailor Moon came out.
Yeah.
It has a copyright date. We can conceptualize when the first anime of Sailor Moon Crystal back in the 80s first premiered in Japan. Because there's an air date for the first Sailor Moon Crystal episode back in the 80s. Just like there is a conception for the first issue of Detective Comics featuring Batman on the cover. We have these conceptions. It's not a always have been. Now we can say who they archetype, who influences them, their lineage, and you can then say, I'm going to use Batman as my stand-in for X, Y, Z deity.
But then I also think an important part of the conversation is the deity that you see in Batman may not be the deity that I see in Batman.
Correct. Therefore, if I am worshiping Batman in the way that I see Batman, you are worshiping Batman in the way that you see Batman, then who's actually worshiping Batman? Right. And is either one of us worshiping the Batman deity? No, you have to look to the artists, the writers, the creators of Batman, and who influenced Batman, one of which was Dracula.
Yeah.
And you have to, from there, and The Shadow is another one from the radio times who influenced Batman. So,
and which Dracula himself, well, the book, was in itself influenced by other figures.
Correct. So, that is understanding your archetypal lineage or your genealogical lineage and understanding where all that comes from, and then worshiping Batman through that lineage, understanding exactly that Batman is not Batman, and you're not worshiping Batman, you're worshiping his lineage to whatever that deity was that the writers and creators of Batman say influenced the creation of Batman.
Right.
Because in all honesty, then that is who Batman actually represents. Give a fuck who you think it does.
Right.
Unless on an emotional level, said deity connected with you through Batman. And you're using Batman as a representation for that deity specifically because that is how they one-on-one spoke to you. But then that means that the Batman that they're working with is not the same. Whereas generally, now there are some misguided people out there, but generally, the HEKA-TEA that I worship is the same HEKA-TEA that another HEKA-TEAN worships or another person worships. Now, granted, if they come from a more limited idea of her or come from a more Wiccan, neo-pagan background. They may simply worship her as a crone figure.
Right.
And I say that because she is not old. She is not a crone. But you're still working with an aspect of Queen of the Goddess of Witches. There's overlay that you are working with a more limited understanding and limited scope of her, whereas I work with her in an all-encompassing, historically accurate way of her, and lineage of her. You're still working with aspects of her. And you still offer her the same fucking shit.
Right.
Just like another Harian may be only acknowledging her in her more spiteful scope.
Right.
But it is still an aspect of her. And maybe Hera, just like HEKA-TEA, is like, God, okay, another, yep, I'm coming, goddess of
Mother of vengeance.
Vengeance. Let me put on my vengeance cap. I'm coming. And they're putting that outfit on. And like, yes, that's a part, but there's like so much more. You're just choosing not to work with any other parts of them.
Right.
Or see them for all that they are. But you're still working with them. This is not the same. My Batman is not your Batman.
Right.
Your Loki via Tom Hiddleston is not my Loki via Tom Hiddleston. Trust me. Why? Because what you're working with is part fantasy of your creation, and what in the fantasy of the comic book and the movies and the cartoons have told you of Loki and Thor. And so if you and I are working with those same ones, but it's pop culture, it's not liturgy, it's not ritual, it's not saying if you're going to work with this deity, this is how you work with them. You're getting all that and then working with them from the movies.
Right.
So even if you and I both are working with Tom Hiddleston Loki, I guarantee you how I worship that Loki, work with that Loki, etc. Maybe you and I will have some overlap given some Wikipedia shit, but by and large, it will not even look at all remotely the same because it's not how I want my Loki to be.
Right.
It's not how you want your Loki to be because my god spousing with Loki is different from your god spousing with Loki. None of you should be, because it's Tom Hiddleston and you're living a fantasy and you're cosplaying in the backyard. You need to fucking stop. Full stop, quit it. It's stupid. I'm sorry, it is. It's stupid. You fucking look stupid. You look stupid.
Agreed.
Just to summarize, incorporate elements of pop culture. It is totally fine. It is not silly. It is not ridiculous. If you are gonna work with characters, pop culture, being, whatever, characters. If you're gonna work with fucking pop culture characters, then understand, as a responsible and ethical witch, except magic practitioner, etc., exactly what it is you are doing. You are creating an egregore. You are creating something, a thought form that becomes something, a Toltec, a fucking servitor, a familiar spirit, however you want to call it. You are creating it and you have to actively feed it. But trust that the version of Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Spider-Man / Peter Parker that you are worshiping is not the same as the Peter Parker / Spider-Man / Yu-Gi-Oh! That someone else is worshiping, which therefore means there's not enough power there to make your egregore of Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Peter Parker or Spider-Man strong enough to do anything really significant beyond within your immediate scope of life. It's still there. I will not take away that you are working with something, but you need to recognize what that is, and it is something of your creation, and that you feed and that you empower. But because it is unique to you, no one else can add to its power in the same way that a bunch of people believing in Santa Claus as the spirit of Christmas has created Santa Claus as a very powerful egregore and spirit of Christmas. And there's no way to say that you can say that Santa Claus, Kris Kringle, Saint Nick, whatever, isn't.
Right.
Because he is.
Absolutely.
You just second say Santa Claus to the face of a fucking child and look at that child's face. That is a magic you cannot fucking touch. You can't. And it's forever and ongoing and powerful. But that's a collective, conscious thing from millions and millions and millions and millions of people for the past, to go to our deepest conception of Santa, the Knight Rider, gift giver, judger of evil and good, innocent. You go to Odin.
Right.
So we're going to go back reach Odin at his height, we're going to go back about 4,500 years, give or take. We'll start back 4,500 years. We'll be a little more conservative, just to be on the safer side. We'll say 2,500 to 3,000 years, okay? So we're going to go back that far. That is how, then we go back that far to Odin, okay? So then, but we need to get to now where we get to Father Christmas, Saint Nick situation, right? Okay, so then we're going back about 500 years, okay? So we're going to start at about 500 years. We'll go from where Saint Nick died, and then the legend of him began, the seedling of what we now have our modern Father Christmas, blah, 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 to the height of the Victorian era. We're going to mark it at the public, there's no other choice, the publication of A Visit from St. Nicholas in 1835 or 36, I think it was. Children immediately began feeding St. Nicholas, the rider of reindeer, and coming down the chimney and giving gifts, what we know of. That entity began being fed immediately, right then and there, by children all throughout the United States. And then as the poem A Visit from St. Nicholas then began to get recirculated throughout the January in England, because you got to remember, A Visit from St. Nicholas did reach the other shores. It just circulated. It still got, so it's not like they waited till next Christmas. No. It continued to get circulated. So it built and built. And so it spread very, very quickly. And an egregore was created out of a holiday that had already existed, already had spirits roaming, already had deities in charge of it, deities that St. Nicholas was drawing from, and that consciously, subconsciously, mostly subconsciously, because these were children, they didn't know anything about Odin. No. They didn't know anything about any of these other previous, more ancient night riders and gift givers. They didn't know anything about that. So they didn't know that they were tapping into that power and that lineage. But that was Odin just finding another way. But that was still Odin. Like, that was still that energy. That was still that deity powering through. So that is why Santa Claus and all his many names and shapes, skinny, tall, pudgy, short, Coca-Cola, not, why he exists. Because there's enough power behind it. Your Yu-Gi-Oh is yours. And your Yu-Gi-Oh will get his ass kicked by my HEKA-TEA. Because my HEKA-TEA is just HEKA-TEA. And she'll kick your Yu-Gi-Oh's ass. So, just, to sum it all in the end, there are clear, healthy ways to incorporate, pop culture and elements of pop culture into all parts of you. But there are also ways in which it is a little more make-believe than reality. Like, I don't really know how else to put it in a nice way. Like, especially when it comes to, as it seems to always devolve into, this god spousing, these dramas, you're having actual dates, you're like seeing in the astral world all the time. Like, you're not. So
anyway, we can go on about this.
So we're just going to leave that there. Thank you. Let us know in the comments what you think. Do you incorporate pop culture elements at all, pop culture, into your witchcraft, into your devotional work, into your faith? If so, how do you do that? Are you one of these people that we are discussing, that we are clarifyingly talking about? If so, feel free to blast us in the fucking comments. Know that we will laugh and probably not respond back, but if we do, be prepared for the response. If you do work with pop culture characters, but you understand what they are, and that they're egregores, and that they're your personal thing, and that you do work with, but it's not on the same, you understand all that behind that, and you can help us talk some sense into these people to understand that, please also let us say something in the comments, like, because I think more, that needs to be understood more, like, that there is a healthy way of incorporating pop culture, pop cultural elements and beings and entities and characters, etc., into your faith and into your work that is real and meaningful. And then there are ways that are just like, what the fuck are you fucking doing? So, all right. Next, it is time to once again return to the always misty and foggy and damp and retro and bleak and dark and overtly horny, apparently, world of Greendale, and to join Sabrina Spellman at who knows what school these days, because it's just going to be really going to any classes, but certainly not at Baxter High, where we have now Theo, and of course still the Kun, that is Roz, and the Boar, that is Harvey Kinkle, and his entire Lord, plus Hilda and Zelda Spellman, and Ambrose, and not Salem, for The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina Rewatch. Chapter 14, The Lupercalia. So the Valentine's episode for the season, for those of you who just know things by the usual holidays that shows always have an episode for.
Right.
This would be the annual Valentine episode of the season. So the Lupercalia, as described, starts correctly. Which is, it finds its source in the birth of Remus and Romulus in the cave to their mother, the she-wolf. Both brothers, as we have talked about on the show in our Io Saturnalia episode, went on, and other episodes too, actually, went on to found Rome. Also, they were divine children of Venus and Mars. Therefore, well, their wolf mother it's the whole fucking thing. But anyways, they're also the patron god and goddess of Rome, and it's a whole fucking booba papa. So, and all Romans, while believing that they are the sons and daughters of Remus and Romulus, also are the sons and daughters of Venus and Mars, and it's the whole fucking thing as well. Romans really like to think that they are very special. They are also God's chosen people. God's plural, not singular with an apostrophe. But then it takes a stupid fucking mating Satanist turn.
Yeah. It's sort of like Chuck and Carol, because there was a kernel of truth and a whole basket of crazy.
So basically how this works is, and if you are a pure of heart, please cover your ears. This is the opposite of abstinence education in schools. This is teens, thou art horny, make the Dark Lord happy, get extra credit, and just get it on. Like that is what happened.
Yeah.
So
the Church of Night loves teen pregnancy.
They really do. So basically the first night they're paired, boy girl. There was so up until this point, there has been homosexuality throughout the show. Now suddenly everything's heterosexual.
Right.
Also, the student body had deeply thinned out.
Yes.
But it was all boy girl. There were no same-sex couplings.
No.
And so they have to go strip down to their sacred underwear because they're fucking Mormons. And also Amish, because they have a basket of things to eat, but then they have to lay side by side in their ritual underwear and soak up the rays of the full moon from the goddess Selene, which is just a random throwout, even though they're fucking Satanists right now.
Right.
It's just, you're just kind of wait, what? And I remember the first time watching this when it first dropped originally, and being wait, what? And then being angry that there's never throughout this, up until HEKA-TEA enters the picture, the paganism just suddenly is gone again. It's very weird. I don't know. But anyway, they have to lay there and just moonbathe basically, in their ritual underwear, which is what Amish young people do when they start courting and they're gonna get married. They will be clothed together in bed for the night, and they have a thing between them, and they can't touch. And I think Mormons do something similar in their magic underwear. I could be wrong. If you know, please correct me in the comments. But yeah. It just, and then the following night, it commences with the girls in lace and silk white negligees and Red Riding Hood cloaks.
Yeah.
And the guys are wearing wolf hide.
Yes.
They're shirtless and wearing slacks, though the girls are in lingerie, 90s. They're in slacks for some reason. They couldn't just be in their underwear. Okay. But then they're wearing wolf pelts on themselves. And then it's called The Hunt. And you think, it's going to be the girls being pursued by the dudes.
Right.
But no. It's actually the Red Riding Hoods hunt the wolves. And then they mount. And then they're hermetically sealed to this wolf. We'll get back to that night because interesting. But so anyway, they do that. Meanwhile, in the mortal world, there's sweetheart dance because of course they're fucking. It's Valentine's dance, and of course because it's an nondescript time and place. It's supposed to be now, but also it's not. I don't know. It's like fucking. Oh my god, it's like a steampunk.
Oh my god, it is.
But, like swinging 60s.
Yes.
Weird. Okay, I never even think about that. But anywho, Harvey asks Roz to be hers. Roz is like, oh my con. Oh, I'm cunning. Oh, con. Oh, con. I'm cunning. Because she saw this before, remember? They were up against the locker, and she was like, hey, let's make out. But she stops it. Because, as she later tells Sabrina, when she decides to tell Sabrina that he asked her to the sweetheart dance, she says to Sabrina, I stopped it, and I didn't give him an answer yet. Because we're still friends. Oh no, since we're still friends. Since we're still friends. Implying that could change at any moment.
Right.
And also, you should be grateful it hasn't changed yet.
Exactly.
It was weird.
I mean, if I had just broken up with my relationship, and then my friend, shortly after, started dating them, I would be the one hunting someone down.
But she did wait, and she asked Sabrina's permission.
True.
And Sabrina was like, oh yeah, go ahead, girl. I'm over it. I literally am in heat for this guy to scratch. And proceed as usual. I was correct in saying that Roz loses her vision to the Kun.
Yep.
Which means I am also correct in the fact that she will very shortly get her vision back and still keep her Kun. Oh god. Helda confesses to Dr. Cerberus that she has feelings for him. She's like, be my Valentine. And he's like, oh god, I can't be your Valentine, bye girl. And she's like, I'm falling apart. And then Zelda is like, sister, which I love. We were talking about this because I got all teary-eyed. I love, because Zelda's such a cunt all the time to Hilda, is not a good sister to her, but she has moments where she is. And she has moments where she comes through. And in those moments, it's always very beautiful because poignant because it's what Hilda deserves. And you feel it so deeply. So one of those moments happens, and I'm like, oh, losing it. And then she's like, you Marcher, you do the best glamour fucking you can, and you fucking go do it. You look like a goddamn trashy whore going to Atlantic City, and you get your man. She does. But then it turns out Dr. Cerberus dabbled in an occult book. And of course, he thinks Hilda is a kind, sweet girl who's ignorant to all things of the dark and arcane. And he got an incubus, but like it made him look like a werewolf. It was weird, I don't know. But like basically whenever he gets horny, the incubus comes out. I mean... No, I was just like, fucking like, whatever tomorrow brings, I'll be there. Yeah, so the incubus comes out and he starts putting on late 90s, early 2000s pop punk. And although incubus did not start out that way. But by the 2000s, they were too pretty to not mainstream a little. But yeah, he chases her. Oh my god, he calms down, he confesses. And he's like, but there's no cure, nothing can be done, and you have no knowledge of dark things like this. And she's like, tee-hee, well, and then we don't see progress from there. Lilith, aka Mary Wildwell, aka Lady Hell or Lady Satan or whatever the fuck she wants, Madam Satan, whatever the fuck she wants to call herself. She's about to plan to poison all the children at the school dance. And then she finds out that she's engaged. Mary Wildwell is engaged to a man named Adam Masters, who is anything but a master, as it turns out, to her surprise. And what she needs from an Adam.
It's Adam Take Two.
Yes. Father Blackwood makes a marriage proposal to Zelda by giving her a box with turtle dove hearts, 2 turtle dove hearts in it. She says, I'll get back to you. Billy Masters, Michaels, Mr. whatever, I don't know what his fucking, I can't remember what his last name was, apologizes to Theo after breaking his leg from the Temptations. And it's a cute moment, I guess. We just are waiting for him to actually come out. He needs to come out. Theo is now officially Theo. Theo has told their father. His father, Daddy Theo, has reluctantly agreed to be okay with this and accepts their child. Nick has familiar that is a werewolf named Amalia who's like obsessed with him, and fucking he tells Sabrina that he's gonna kill her. Miss Mary Walwell Willis fucking was like, excuse the language, Nick, but you need to put the bitch down. It was great because werewolf dog. It was pretty funny. And he lies, says he did not. He basically summoned another wolf, an actual wolf, to him to then kill and use the heart to be like, surprise, I did
it. But then she shows up.
Yes, to kill Sabrina. Where Sabrina's waiting for Nick so they can finally be together. And Nick doesn't get there. Now, here we are. We're back. We are back to the night of the hunt. So Nick's running. He's like, they're ditching it all. He's running to go get to fucking Sabrina, who he's assigned to. And he's like trying to get to her. And then Ginger Dorcas appears. And she mounts him like an animal. And yeah, so that happened. Nick cheats. He then tells Sabrina, I lied to you. And he's referring to that. But she thinks that he's referring to Amalia, his werewolf familiar, that she has now had to kill to save him from her.
Right.
Yeah. Like we said, Roz and the Kinkle fire have a lot of hot session, and then as a result, her vision goes.
Yeah.
But now her cun is going to be like on overdrive. Exactly. She's going to be cunning like everywhere. Mm-hmm. It's going to be messy. Anyway, all right. So yeah, that's that with Sabrina.
Yep.
Woot woot. We carry on with all their shenanigans. Next, that brings us to SpellCraft. And we're actually going back to the subject of pop culture, as we said.
Yes.
And in fact, it's going to be music. We're going to talk about music and incorporating contemporary music into your spell work, and how to do that effectively. The best example I can give, honestly, right away, is we incorporate music, and there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
I know that there are people who are like, oh, it's got to be like chanting. It's got to be like old shit. It's got to be like, it's got to be like instrumental Celtic or pure moods or some shit. No, it doesn't. You know what? It can also be fucking Fergie. Yeah. So, prime example. Let's say your ambition is to be like a famous influencer, or I mean, I would hope not. But let's say that is your ambition, or you want to be a famous actor, or you just want like a job, a career that pays really, really well, right? Yes, you could do the usual job spell, career spell that you find in whatever spell book. You know, I love Element Encyclopedia of 5,000 spells. If it's not in there, it doesn't exist until you make it. But you can also, for example, take Fergie's Glamorous and use that. You're like, what? Mm-hmm. Put it on repeat. Think of the song if you like it. Whatever song is about money, but we're using this as an example, right? And you've got the GLAMOROUS, yeah, flying first class, up in the sky, drinking champagne, and living that life. Obviously, I can keep going, but I don't want to get like struck by YouTube. But you just take the lyrics, you sing the lyrics as a spell. Right. Do your same shit. Use your green candles, your coins, make your money bag, your fucking. I think people are really into money balls, which actually derives from Eastern traditions, specifically Chinese tradition. But you know, however you incorporate, do whatever. But instead of a traditional spell, use the song or whatever song you have. There's one that I love called American Money that's really good that I like as an example. But just like if that is like your aim or your goal, you could use Glamorous by Fergie as your spell, as your incantation that you just put on repeat. Sing it over and over and over again, because it's going to get you in that repetitive state, that hypnotized trance state, absolutely, where you can build and consecrate and send forth energy and incorporate that. That's a great way to incorporate, and a great example of incorporating contemporary music into spell work and as spell work. You can also obviously do your own spell, right? But take elements of a song, lyrics, certain different lyrics here and there, and put them within a greater framework of what you're doing. If you don't want to just full out just use the song, yeah. Any other examples for yourself about how you incorporate music into your spell work?
Well, I mean, I think we both do make playlists for our deities and use those devotionally. A lot of our songs that are on our playlists are contemporary songs. For instance, I think the most the most significant example for me is that I won't say growing up because I first saw this movie when I was a teenager.
Right.
But there is this movie called Candy, which is a great movie.
Yes.
It's got Abby Cornish and Heath Ledger, R.I.P.
Yes.
It's about this couple who is very addicted to drugs and each other. But it comes to this point where she kind of has like a psychological breakdown, and she writes this poem in lipstick like all over the walls of their house. And now the scene where this is happening is like the poem is all set to like violin music in the background.
Yeah.
And you hear her voice like saying all of the words, and they're all like melting into each other.
Yeah.
But at this one point in the poem, she kind of starts praying, and she refers to, quote, the mother of the blueness and angel in the storm. And I always loved that.
Yeah.
I actually, as soon as I heard those words, like they really just very much struck me.
Yeah.
And I actually started using that expression in my own spells. And behold, many years later, when I started working more deeply with HEKA, I found out that that expression is very, very close to a line from her Orphic hymns.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I think that that's just kind of one of those synchronicities,
right.
Like we were talking about earlier.
You were meant to see that film to make that connection.
Exactly. But even before I consciously knew that, like I was using it in my prayers.
Right, of course.
And now that I am aware of it, I use it specifically in my prayers to her.
I love that.
Yeah, and I downloaded the recording of that song, and that's one that I have on her playlist. And every time that I'm worshiping her and I'm with her and that song comes on, it facilitates me going very, very like deep and dark with her.
Yeah.
So I love that. That's probably the most significant example that I have.
Yeah. And then I also have, for example, I have a SpellCraft playlist that is specifically music that has always spoken to me and energized me and charged me as a witch.
Yes.
And it has nothing to do with deities or anything. It's literally about me.
Yes.
All about me. It's just about me as a witch. And it empowers me, and it's what I put on when I'm doing spell work to put me in that zone. To bring my magic to its full potential, to create and do what I need to do. And not even all of the songs on there are like from witchy artists or a witchy song. Some are just very, like one of them is Planet Souls Set You Free from like 1994 or 95. But it means something to me, and it unlocks and connects to something sonically in me that I respond to in my magic, my witchcraft inside my power responds to. So that's another way I incorporate it. Yes, I could have done a fucking playlist of like more new agey shit or traditional witchy shit, whatever. But where's my emotional resonance?
Exactly.
Magic is emotional resonance. It's feeling, it's memory, it's instinct. It's, if you can't visualize, you're one of those people who have that I don't want to call it a disability, but that inability to visualize things, to see things. Then sense memory, smell, sound, sonic memory is a great way of unlocking things. What better to do that than a song that actually emotionally resonates for you?
Exactly. I mean, to quote the craft, true magic is in the heart of the witch. And sometimes what is in the heart of the witch is Work Bitch by Britney.
Right, exactly. And if that's what it is for you, then that's what it is for you. And it carries its own power, and that's the power that you need to access, because that's what you're tuning into, and that's what speaks to you and unlocks those feelings for you. Fucking some chant from, Lady Mother Sister Birdie is
it's not going to take you to that place. It's not
going to take you to that place. It's not going to unlock that shit for you. Maybe that works great in like ritual music for your ritual playlist, maybe. And you're like, yeah, I want like that stuff. But on your SpellCraft playlist, you have a playlist specifically you put on for when you're doing your spell work, then that music should be whatever it is that makes you feel shit. And if that's Bach, then let it be Bach. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
If that's Beethoven, if that's fucking why can't I think of anybody? If that's fucking Frank Sinatra, then let it be. But let it be whatever you hear it, and I don't need to describe it, you know what I'm talking about. When you hear it, that song, and it does the shit that it does to you, that's the music that should be on your playlist.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of ways right there of how you can, different examples of how you can incorporate contemporary music into your spellcraft, into your worship, and into your spell work. Let us know in the comments, do you have playlists for yourself? If so, are they spellcraft playlists, ritual playlists, both kind of mixed? Is there contemporary stuff on there? What do you have on there? Let us know in the comments. Have you ever used spells or songs and song lyrics as your spell word? Have you ever popped on that Pink Floyd to fucking transcend the astral world? Let us know in the comments. All right. So lastly,
it is now time
for Witchy Media Review.
And as we mentioned, today we are journeying to Rome.
Yes.
To watch the First Omen.
Yes.
Which came out in 2024, directed by Arkasha Stevenson in her feature directorial debut.
Beautifully shot film.
Oh, yes. Gorgeous. Co-wrote the screenplay with Tim Smith and Keith Thomas from a story by Ben Jacoby. Now, it is a prequel to The Omen, of course, which is my personal favorite movie in all of the lands.
Yes, it is.
The 6th overall film in the Omen franchise.
Yes.
So basically the plot follows an American nun, Margaret. She is sent to work at a Catholic orphanage in Rome, and she uncovers a sinister conspiracy theory to bring about the birth of the Antichrist. This happens in Rome in 1971, which the first time I watched it, gave me pause because the first one at least was released in 1976.
Right.
And for me, when I watch it, because it's not specifically stated to have taken place in any particular year, I read it as taking place the year that it was released.
Right. And how old is Damien? 5, right?
5, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So if you walk it back, it takes place in 71, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Then it came out in 6.
Yeah.
Okay. You walk it back, she still has to get impregnated. So
see, I always thought that it was like that he was born in 76 and then 5 years later all this happens.
No. So The Omen, at least how I have always interpreted it, I think most people when they watch it, is that him being born is a flashback and him being 5 is 76. It's the year it was released. It's current time. And then him being born was the flashback. Because why would you make a movie in 76 that then takes place in 1981?
Yeah, I guess, and the outfits would be wrong. So
yeah. And the toys would have been like, I wouldn't have, and I think they would have clarified in the movie we're now in 1981 or whatever.
Yeah, I guess so.
So it does add. The math does math. But I do understand being perplexed by it, since the first film doesn't give you a specific, like, here you are.
Right. Anyway, so she gets to the orphanage. She meets all the people. She has a roommate who is a fellow novice as well.
Yes.
Her name is Luce.
Yes.
And she is
a wild one.
Yes. So she invites Margaret to a disco. They meet a couple dudes. Margaret dances with this man named Paolo.
As we were talking about, in every movie in Italy, set in Italy, made by Americans, by American production companies, and it takes place in Italy, there is a male character. Even if it's just a brief, fucking momentary character. It could be a server, it could be just a waiter. There will at least be one male named Paolo. Always. So,
Margaret dances with Paolo, but then she blacks out. She awakens the next day. She doesn't remember anything that happened. Yeah. So over the next couple of weeks, I'm assuming is the time frame that this takes place in. She bonds with an orphan named Carlita, who is at the orphanage.
Yes.
She is kind of being like kept away from all of the other kids. She's the quintessential creepy girl.
Yes.
Drawing pictures in her room.
Yes.
So Father Brennan, who you will remember if you have ever watched The Omen, he is the priest who dies by being impaled. So we see him as well in this movie. So he warns Margaret about Carlita, saying evil things will happen around her. Margaret spots Carlita showing another one of the sisters a drawing of a pregnant woman being restrained, and then moments later, that sister immolates and hangs herself.
Yeah.
In a very, very shot-for-shot interpretation of the scene in the original.
The governess. Yeah. Also, the amount of like lesbian undertones, but not to its credit, because it's all presented in a way of it's repulsive. It's denoting sin. It's something that hedonistic. It's to denote something's wrong here.
Right.
The women are interested in each other.
Right.
Like it's It was a choice.
Yes, it was a choice. So Brennan and Margaret talk again after this all happens. He explains that radicals in the Catholic Church were desperate to regain power against the rise of secularism. So they're seeking to bring about the birth of the Antichrist to create fear and drive rebellious disbelievers back to the church.
Yes.
With Carlita intended to be the mother of the Antichrist.
Yes.
Or at least so far as we know now.
Yes.
So there is a field trip, a riot breaks out. Margaret has a demonic hallucination, excuse me.
Hallucinate. I thought I was like, oh, she's getting fancy.
I always said hallucinogen.
You're like, she has a little hallucinate.
Hallucinate.
I was like, oh, all right, she's fancy. She's so fancy.
So after this, the abbess postpones Margaret's vows because she's like bitch crazy.
Yeah, because that's why.
Right. And she orders her to distance herself from Carlita.
Oh, Carlita.
So she runs into Margaret runs into Paolo on the street. She's trying to like follow him,
find out why,
like what's going
on,
on,
what's happening.
He's like running away from her, very terrified. He tells her to look for the mark, and then he gets struck by a bus or a truck. I'm sorry.
Yes, and split in half.
Yep.
Fun.
Which is a very gross scene.
Yeah.
I mean,
gross.
Yeah.
Gross.
Yeah.
Good, but gross.
Yes. So Margaret goes creeping in the abbess's office. She uncovers a hidden chamber with a series of files all labeled Spiana. They contain photos of dysmorphic babies, all with a birthmark and the 666, with Carlita as the only one to survive into adolescence. Margaret tries to run away with Carlita, but is intercepted, and she sees the mark on the roof of Carlita's mouth as this is happening. So eventually she gets free and examines the stolen files with Father Brennan. She discovers that another baby survived.
It was her. She has the mark on her head.
So she realizes at that point that the night that she blacked out of the disco, she was forcefully impregnated in a ritual.
By a giant jackal.
Yes, by a giant jackal. Who's now the father instead of the mother, but that's neither here nor there.
She's still born of a jackal,
yeah.
I guess. That was my biggest gripe with the whole fucking movie, which is that right there.
Yes.
The jackal part. That was so essential to the entire mythos of Damien.
Exactly.
And I just...
it's such... You know what? Anyway, so at this point, she goes through like all 9 months of pregnancy in like 30 seconds.
Yes.
And it's the whole weird situation. So then they catch up with her. They fucking take her back to the convent. She's strapped down to the table.
They cut out 2 kids.
Yeah, they cut out 2 kids.
One's a boy, one's a girl.
Yep. So she basically runs away with the girl.
The boy is Damien.
The boy is Damien. The orphanage burns down.
Yeah, Carlita makes it. Carlita rescues them, helps them get out.
Yes.
And then they're now living like a lesbian relationship. Right. So I guess she's come to terms with her lesbianism.
Right.
Raising the daughter of Satan.
Yeah, and then like right at the 30 seconds before the end of the film, it's like, oh yes, we're giving this baby to Robert Thorne.
Yeah.
With no kind of explanation as to like why Catherine Thorne would have been giving birth at this orphanage. Like, it's a whole thing. There's a lot of reasons.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, so that's that.
I will say it was beautifully shot.
Yeah.
And I will say, honestly, with the exception of its couple of discrepancy issues, which honestly is a nitpick, I will say it is one of the better modern prequels that have been made for films.
Yeah.
Like, it's beautifully shot. It truly is atmospheric. The music is wonderful. It's got that same Omen pace.
Yeah.
Right? It's very high stylized. It had some question marks. And because of those question marks, I'm going to give it a waxing crescent because it didn't miss the mark. It didn't shoot and miss it, and now we're in waning territory. I just will say it didn't reach the mark.
No.
Like, it's still good. Yeah, I will probably watch it again in like 4 years, probably. I'll probably put it on again. Like, it's not a bad movie.
No, I think as a satanic mom horror movie, I think it's brilliant. As an inclusion in the Omen franchise, I don't like it. So
differing opinions.
Yeah. With that being said, I would give it kind of, you know, the kind of halfway point, you know.
But are you waxing going up? Like, it's a good movie that failed, but it tried, so it still succeeds on some merits? Or are you in waning, where it like missed the mark and it like...
No, I'm not in waning, because it's not a bad film.
Right, so you're in waxing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so, and I'm not going to define where in waxing. I'm just going to give it. I'm just going to give it a waxing crescent. It's a waxing crescent. So we're agreeing it's a waxing crescent of a film.
It is.
However you go into it, whether it's just you want satanic mom horror, that's good, because obviously there's so much of it that's bad. Or
so true, but it's still kind of fun to watch.
Yeah. Or you are a fan of the Omen films and you were really disappointed by, like, the AMC or A&E series, Damien.
Oh,
or
so bad.
You were disappointed by, like, the Omen Next Generation.
Ooh, or the 2006 Omen. I hated that.
Right. If you were disappointed by, like, I will at least tell you, in that respect, this is a better entry.
Yes,
a better film in that respect.
I will say it is better than the Omen 4.
Yes. Oh God, yes. No, I honestly think it was better than Omen 3. Like,
I mean, yeah, I'll agree with
Liam
that.
Neeson.
Yeah, oh my gosh. And Sam Neill.
God, I just couldn't.
Yeah. Terrible casting for that role.
I will say, why does everything with Satan have to involve debauchery? It's like, if you're sexual, it's just like, within the concept in the realm of these films, any sexual agency denotes satanic cabal.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I
don't like that either.
It's just so tired, played out to me.
Yeah.
All right, let us know in the comments. What did you think of the first Omen? Have you seen it? Do you like the Omen films? Do you not like the Omen films? Did you like the first Omen? Did you not like the first Omen? Let us know in the comments. What do you think of... Do you have any opinions on any of the movies that we review?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on them? Let us know in the comments. Do you have any suggestions for a film that we haven't done yet? Or a band we haven't listened to? A book that you want us to read? Just any media, witchy media that we haven't covered yet that you would like us to cover. Also, please let us know in the comments. That being said, if you like what you see, remember, please, 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 do not forget to like, comment, subscribe, hype, and share. It really helps us. We need to let the algorithm know that people like our show and that we're worth watching, so it'll show us to more people. Help spread the word. Post our show. If you're on social media, share our show. Share our social media. Share the trailers for the episodes, for the show on your socials. Encourage other people to watch our show. We would greatly appreciate that. We can't exist without that help. And it's a lot of work. I'm saying this because Microsoft 360 Overdrive has taken over my editing software system, so now everything's on the cloud, which means everything's a fucking nightmare. It takes me 5 attempts usually now to fucking download, export, and edit the episode, because it'll forcibly relaunch the system and erase everything I've done, and I have to start all over again. It is draining, exhausting, and there's a lot of fucking work that I'm doing for free, and Delicious Witch is being paid for out of my pocket. Like, there's no Patreon right now, because we don't even really have enough followers to subscribe to justify setting up one right now. That is the goal to reach, that we could have that kind of support, but we're not there yet. No. So if you could just ring the bell, share, comment, spread the word, we would greatly appreciate it.
Very much.
I would greatly appreciate it, because I'm fucking exhausted and tired, and I just would like it to be worth it. I mean, it is fulfilling in a lot of ways.
Of course.
But what would be more fulfilling is for us to continue to reach more people.
Yes.
So if you can help with that, that would be fucking fantastic. I would greatly appreciate it. All right. That is it. We are done. We are out. We're going to go. I don't know. But we're done. As always, witches, please remember, broomsticks,
not just for cleaning.